All right, cool. Cool. And now I wait for that to go live. Got about 4 seconds under our belt. There's no video. Oh, my personal videos. Okay, so that's all set. Now that I just like pick my nose on screen. Auto find and activate. And there is YouTube chat. All right, cool. So now I got in violation of the Twitch toss, almost as if defiantly striking against God. I am holding a Glock to the sun. I have both chats up at once, but I'm too bush leagued for them to really care. I hit 263 pounds. I've been weighing myself because of the new drugs that I'm on have totally changed my attitude towards food. The French fries were obviously a transgression. Cheat days will happen, but overall, I have to like actively look for food and find it and eat it instead of always being hungry 100% of the time. And it's kind of cool. It's doing quite a bit to help me recontextualize how I'm treating food and how you know I'm dealing with it. And so I'm down to 263 even, which is that's plateaued over a couple days now. So I'm not super closely tracking it, but I am eating a lot less and weighing myself just to be sure, because yeah, I've got about 63 pounds to go, which is significant. People have started to notice that I've sort of lost a bit of weight. I think I've lost like 20 pounds so far. It's so stupid they're against that. 263 pounds, like North American pounds. I'm down from like 280 something, and 280 was the hospital scale. My scale, I think, agreed with that though. It was high 270s at the worst part there, and my doctor just went, "We're putting you on Ozempic. We're gonna figure it out." So he like personally pushed that, and it at first there was sort of the danger of going DKA, diabetic ketoacidosis, from actually getting no insulin. If you get no insulin and your glucose levels are fine and your body doesn't create insulin, there can still be the buildup of the stuff that causes diabetic ketoacidosis. So I was in a little bit of trouble for that. I had to back off of certain things and actually like actively make myself eat for a little bit there. Like when you first start taking it, now I've settled into it and I sort of know what the drill is. And yeah, things are going well. I'm just sort of on the way to the goal weight. What's up, Madam You? How's it going? Yeah, Twitch really wants to have their experience like be special for Twitch chatters, but like, God, Twitch chatters get all the emotes and stuff. Like, I mean, it's not that different. I don't know. I was watching some streamers do their thing, and they have like 5,000 people watching on Twitch, or no, not on Twitch. Like 10,000 people watching on YouTube, which I don't know what that YouTube chat's gonna look like. It's just gonna be just like a mess. It'd be like trying to read an animated thing fly. It's like 60,000 messages a second, huh? But yeah, like, I don't know. We're the opposite. We get like 2 people on YouTube, which is cool. I mean, that's awesome that they found us. I thought YouTube had better discoverability. Where's my water? I had a piece of old pizza for lunch, which, thinking about it, is probably a bad idea gastric-wise. I'm gonna be burping during stream. Hopefully you got some cool electronical doodads to look at today, and I've got a technique that I want to try, a way that I could have repaired Julian's sequencer. He had that sequencer that used 7400 series stuff, which is crazy because that's exactly what we were working on. We were working on a 7400 series logic sequencer because when you think about the way music works, I mean, you've got 4/4 timing, so you count to 4. 4 is one of those magical numbers, 4, 8, 16, 32, in electronics and data storage and things like that. So there's a lot that you can do with the technology of the time pertaining to all of those 2, 4, 6, 8 timing. Crazy. All you need is a sense of rhythm, which I don't have. I guess I do. I play piano, which is practically a percussion instrument. All depends on which overlord you want to bow down to, Bezos or Page. I thought they were all the same. Yeah, I guess so. They're not all the same, are they? It's funny though. It's such a silly thing to do. Like, do I just, and I know one streamer that just blanks YouTube chat. They just don't allow YouTube chatters, which is crazy because, you know, Madam U comes in and says hi. And so I go, hey, Madam U, how's it going? And then what? Jeff Bezos like pushes a button on a console and my house explodes? Like, why? Why? Why do you care? Twitch can be so weird. They really, really can. Yeah. I show a titty on stream and I get banned permanently. And other streamers like, you know, what's the things going on in my head right now are not things that I want to say out loud. Anyway, they can do much more heinous stuff and get no punishment at all. It's wild. Somebody was literally knocking boots on stream. That was the nicest way that I could put that. Literally just doing that, and they got banned for like, what was it, a couple days? A couple days. The funny thing is that streamers are replying to comments from the other platforms, and if they're not shown to Twitch viewers, then the viewers are confused. Yes, that's another one. The whole reason that I'm putting chat on screen is for context, because it used to be that I would have to say, oh, user points out that this happened, and so, but I'm bullheaded and stubborn. You guys know that, and I get mad when people point out perfectly reasonable things to me. That's a flaw. That's a flaw that I have. I know that I have it. And so if I have to read out all that context, I'll get madder. So it actually is beneficial to everyone if I just have chat on screen and then my crash outs are a little bit more justified. Who cares if chat is confused? I've, you know, like watching VODs and stuff, I've seen this occur, where they'll react and you're like, oh, that must have been a chatter, and it just takes you out of the moment and you don't know what's going on after that. I don't know, it's just it's something that I like to avoid. It makes watching a little easier, right? But yeah, that's a fundamental thing of public speaking too, is repeating a little bit of the question to give everybody context, because if people can't hear, then it's just you're answering something weird out of the blue. Like, yeah, I would be like, definitely panties, definitely panties. And everybody's like, what the hell is he responding to? What was that? What did he say? So you go like, they're asking me which I would prefer to, you know, something like context. Context is important when responding to things. I wanted a weird random example, but I can't. No, don't clip things. It's rude. Yeah. It's just completely out of context stuff. It happens around here. And yeah, then you open yourself up to people taking advantage of the lack of context, which is funny. Ha ha. So I had to buy a $26 resistor, and I probably could have gotten it for $7 on AliExpress, but this is a $26 potentiometer, often loved for its feel, for the mouth feel of the potentiometer. This thing is like a specialty, hard to twist kind of dual gang pot that a lot of audio equipment loves to run the stereo through for volume control. Comes in a 50 and a 100 ohm flavor. I bought both because I didn't know which one I have, because I've got one in my current headphone amplifier. It's the vacuum tube amplifier from Shit Audio, SCHIIT. They, of course, released an update version almost the day after I bought the damn thing. But this is a heavy, heavy twist. You know what I really should have done is when I ordered that thing and I found out that they had a new update, I should have taken it back on warranty, because I think it's got a 5-year warranty. I probably could have just popped it open and like stabbed a resistor and said, oh no, please to be sending me a new one, the updated one. But no, I've got the old one. Anyway, so I've got like the middle one. It's called the, what the hell is it called? I forget. Anyway, whatever. It's some Viking name. But yeah, anyway, so they use the most generic audio potentiometer that exists. I didn't know that this was a totally common choice, but it took me a while to actually identify. I had to look at a bunch of different pictures of the thing, and it turns out nobody has a photo of the motherboard. There's one YouTube video, one singular YouTube video of somebody repairing theirs, and they don't show the back of this pot where the label is. When they do show it, because there's a shot of it right side up and then upside down. It's like one shot in like a 7-minute video where the potentiometer is in the upper corner, but it's missing the backing. So I looked everywhere, and it turns out it is a fairly common audio pot that exists, but it is expensive. An Alps 523G, and there's a 50K and a 100K, and I think the 50K is much more rare, but I just bought them for 20 bucks. I have 2 of them just in case, and then the other one goes into the shop bin to see what else it can be used in, and I guess we'll probably take one apart. But for some reason, this is missing on the one photo that I could find. What is that all about? And it looks like, you know, as is typical with the potentiometers like this, it's modular. You know, these parts, these panel parts are typically very modular, so that they can be mixed and matched together to perform whatever function they need to. And then the knob is press fit on the front of this thing. I have to figure out how to get the old one unpress fit and press fit the new one on without damaging this thing. Crazy stuff. At least I can do it. What's happening right now is I have everything hooked up so that if I plug in headphones, the tube amp flips over to the headphones. No audio goes to the speakers, right? One of the basic principles of the headphone amp. I've got a DAC, a dedicated digital to analog converter, sitting below it. That's from the computer. It's powered by the computer. So that plugs in, powered by the computer. Everybody's honky-dory. Headphones get amplified. I plug in headphones, it flips them over. If I touch the volume knob, the big volume knob on it, in order to adjust the volume, it will full volume go into the speakers, because the speakers are on full volume. So anything that comes through that cable is going to get big noise. The other thing that happened in that amplifier is kind of hilarious, and I cannot believe that they had allowed this to happen. Goes to show you the value of having an outside consultant come into your firm, into your operation, and go, hey, you guys are neglecting something, because somehow on that second run of that amplifier, the power that plugs in is 120 volts. And it's got a typical, not this kind, but it's got your IEC connector on the back end of things, right? And so the 2 leads here, I don't know, are they bent or something? They're out of the way on at least the particular style that they used. The 2 hot and neutral leads are insulated and have wires coming out of them. The case ground is sitting right next to a transformer toroid. And if you push it just barely, beep, it will make contact with the toroid. Toroid, it's got a lot of magnetic energy running through it, trying to make all of the energy required to keep the heaters on for the tubes, the vacuum tubes that the amplifier used. So there is a significant buzz on earth ground from this amplifier. I spent months trying to isolate out the noise, because I thought it was a ground loop issue on my end. If I had known, 5 seconds, take the thing apart, bend the thing out of the way, or give it a piece of copper tape so that it actually does case ground, put it back in, done, right? I could have solved all these problems. I had going on, everything was humming. I can't believe it. Wasting my damn time. That's a lot of emotes. What you doing with all those? What the heck are those? That's the first time. Soundmatics. Yeah, we do a lot. We do some engineering here. We do some light engineering. I am just complaining about my own audio setup. It's shit audio, SCHIIT. But hey, any representatives of the company that might be watching, maybe set it right, set the record straight, because I really would like to talk about how awesome their equipment is. Can't afford it. I can't afford it anymore. But this is the COVID check I spent on the amplifier and the DAC. And I love it. I love it to death. You get that beautifully warm entry-level vacuum tube kind of sound. I like my one-to-one reproductions of audio. The tubes are adding just a little bit something special to the audio that I'm listening to. It's got a little bit of warmth to it, which I really do appreciate. on my studio monitors, my Yamaha studio monitors. Again, entry level, but it creates some very nice audio. But the pot has worn down, and that ground loop issue is insane. That I had to do all that. I had to buy like I think it was $60 isolator box, and that killed the hum somehow. But I think I can get rid of that now. I can get rid of that once we bring the amplifier over here and put it on the healing bench for a little bit. I can replace the potentiometer and do the ground loop mod. That might be what we end up doing if I am back against the wall. We might end up just fixing that thing, because that's not going to take a long time. It's just getting the knob off of the pot that scares me. How's everybody else doing? I postponed Tuesday's stream, kind of lost the thread there because we had like a wood chipper right outside. And so as karmic balance today, next door, there are roofers going to town on the neighbor's roof. It was crazy because I went outside to walk the dog, and the roof was just like a framework with a bunch of people crawling all over it. They went in and they just removed everything. So I like, hey, you can clean the crawl space with a leaf blower now. Bad, just bad. Bad's not good. And other controversial statements. But anyway, yeah. So they're going to town on that roof, and they're probably going to finish it today. They do good work, but it's also loud. I don't think we can hear hammers in here. I don't think I can hear it. Twitch viewers will have a lot going on. They have the music on the background too, which should be relatively low volume compared to my voice. And then YouTube viewers, you guys don't get any background music because the copyright police will blow up my house if they discover that I'm using music. If I'm using audio waves that have been reserved. Do you ever share your workshop with somebody else? No, this is a room in my house. So it's the one room with everything I own in it. It's my room, and so I will chase people out with a red hot poker if get back, get out. Arctic nuttiness from the north, and space rock is on the way. Yeah, are we gonna get hit by a meteor finally? I tried to see the northern lights. Apparently, we got huge amounts of solar activity. There's people as south as Florida can view the northern lights. I'm in Pennsylvania, and we've had just cloud coverage all week. For the past 2 days, it's just been overcast, so I can't see anything. Yeah, people come over and we work together on stuff. I had Julian on Saturday. We were working on his modular synth stuff, which is what, again, something that we're going to take a look at today. The repair that we did on his synthesizer was exacerbated. That's exacerbated, get the word right. It was exacerbated by the fact that it was a big through-hole thing, and I don't really have any ways to repair it. And so I got these zinc-plated copper rivets that we'll test out today. Presumably what I can do with these is put them into a severely damaged via like we saw, and then pop them with something on the other side to mushroom them out. And these will replace the via sloppily. It's not going to be a good repair, but it will be a repair. It'll be a strong enough to continue on. And I'll probably end up doing that if Julian's equipment makes its way back into the shop. I did my best. I gave it a little bit of mechanical bracing. Julian's a buddy of mine who has been producing music his whole life. I met him in middle school, I think, or high school or whatever, but we've been buds for a long time, all through, I went to college around here, so we were able to stay bros the whole time. And he's gotten into music production in a big way and in a small way, and the small way is his modular synthesizer, and he just keeps haranguing me like, Bother, you have to build me a synthesizer, you have to. And I'm like, I don't even know what a synthesizer is. All I know is how to solder. So we've been learning that. We've been working on my own modular synthesizer in here over the course of It's been a while. I mean, it's not like I have a time crunch on that. It would be nice to get more stuff done on the modular synthesizer, but getting stuff done requires quite a big push. So, do you remember me? Says Kiwi Volt. Specifically, yes, I remember every single thing about you and every comment that you've ever made. Actually, I could probably pull up every comment. Can I do that on? I don't know if I could do that on YouTube. I don't know how to do that. I can do that on Twitch. Just pull up a person's comment history and scroll through that real quick. I haven't needed to do that. I don't do that. we don't do that here. Boom, boom, boom. That's why I have my punch kit here. I put all the time to get a nice punch kit. Nice punches. I figure these will help me mushroom out these guys. From a discussion on how to learn electronics. Yeah, that game has changed. Oh my God. So I bought this from like a farmer's market because I went into the city the other weekend. I went into the city and I go into the city and there's this like pop-up just like fair. And there were all these booths and farmer's market things. I said, well, I just get something because it's good. I think it was around Market Station. Anyway, so looking around for something that I could just quickly pick up, found a local brewer who was distilling whiskey, and they had just this little hip flask of the stuff. So sure, I'll try it. I finally got around to it last night and said, I'll try that whiskey. Take a sip. You don't even feel it hitting your lips or tongue. Pain. Just pure pain. This stuff was, I wouldn't call it rot gut, but it was, because rot gut is like toilet whiskey, right? It's like not good, it's just alcohol. In this case, it was so high proof that it was just painful. And then you would get this beautiful cherry flourish of barrel flavor, right? It was this wonderful, deep, rich, but you couldn't really make out a lot of the deep richness there. You were like, I know there's a richness to this, but it is also just pure ethanol. It is just damaging my cells. That's all it's doing. So it was rough. I discussed, and I've learned much more since then. That's awesome. It's, generic electronics knowledge usually requires that you take sort of a path. So I'm curious to see what sort of path you've taken in like the specifics of electronics that you want to learn, or if you found a project, because that's usually something really cool to sort of focus in and let you check some of the boxes along the way for the basic, foundation of electronics knowledge in order to do cool stuff. People look at this stuff and they go, wow, I want to learn electronics. And I'm like, well, you need to focus. You need to like a specific thing, because you can spend all day memorizing color bands on a resistor. If you want to actually like make a robot, that's a totally different like set of things. I made an electromagnetic ring accelerator. Oh, that's cool. So you got stuff going around in a circle with basically a motor with a rotor that's flying around. Very cool. The Tony Stark thing. Hopefully the music isn't too distracting. I put on like a Deckard mix. Which one is it? It's my definition of chill, but this doesn't feel very chill. I'm making a spark gap Tesla coil. Man, a lot of people do not. Well, okay. So when you're doing like media and electronics, and you want like something popular, I want something that's gonna like resonate with people, and they'll think is cool, and visually they can look at the screen and go, "Wow, that's really cool what they're doing over there." You want to go and like do high voltage stuff. That's what everybody wants to do, right? They, oh, look at those sparks. That's really cool. I'm gonna share this with my friends, and then you go viral, and then I get 27,000 people watching me. That hasn't happened yet. Everybody advertisers kind of expected that to happen for a little bit. It hasn't. But so the high voltage electronics thing is particular to me because yes, I could do it. I know a lot about working with high voltage electronics. I majored in control systems, which involves motors, which involves power generation, which involves the high power DC labs at Drexel. So I do know my ups and downs of high voltage and high current. However, I'm a type 1 diabetic. This phone acts as my pancreas. I have on me a sensitive-ish piece of equipment on my shoulder that is measuring my blood glucose using a bimetallic wire that drops under the surface of the skin. I have an insulin pump on me that's made up of microcontroller electronics. I do not want to deal with Tesla coils because they throw sparks. The one time that we had a Tesla coil in here, we bought a miniature Tesla coil for $1 because the place I got my Creality 3D printer had like a special deal where you can pick up one of these following items for $1. And I'm like, okay, Tesla coil, let's go. So we put the Tesla coil together. The lights on the desk down here. What up, Big John? The lights on the desks down here are touch control. I have a little panel that I put under the Weyland-Yutani patch. Big John, you should pick up some of these patches. They're hilarious, all the Weyland-Yutani stuff. Have you seen that new TV show, the Alien TV show? I'll talk about that in a second. Anyway, that's a touch control, right? And so we had a Tesla coil out right here. And it was buzzing along to music, and then my lights turned off. I'm lucky they turned back on, but if the, what do you call it? If a little desktop Tesla coil is enough to take out my lights somehow from over here, then I'm not gonna mess with high voltage with all the health equipment that I've got on me, right? Crazy. And a spark gap just makes RF noise. A spark gap is one of the original RF jammers. So yeah, no, I'm not messing with that. I wish I could, and then people will go, wow, look at that streamer. Whoa, sparks, wow, crazy. I tried to blow up LEDs on stream, but they changed the formula. They changed the formula on the LED epoxy, and now they don't explode anymore. Safety nerds ruining everything. Used to be able to take a red LED, put it on a 9-volt battery, and it'd go. It was awesome. Yeah, so the Alien TV show I have watched, it seems like it's like just checking boxes. You're like, oh, that's an alien thing that they're doing. Oh, that's another alien thing that they're doing. Cool. These disparaging scenes that don't really seem to make an overall narrative somehow are alien, so that's cool. I like to go back to the, you know, Alien and Aliens and watch those periodically. When did I do that? It was the other night. It actually was fairly recently that I watched those, and then of course went on a Terminator kick after that. But I don't know, the spelunking into the old IPs that we all define our childhood with, certainly not over. But the old movies still exist. So this is why you will not find me being one of these reactionary reviewer people who get mad at IPs. How dare they make another one of the thing that I like and they didn't do it properly. They did it a little improperly. Yeah, easy money. Big John's movie that he can quote line for line, scene for scene. There it is right there. Mine is Hackers for some reason. Hackers, what a movie to choose, right? Because in no way is that movie trying to be pretentious enough to tell you that in any way anything that's happening on screen is realistic. But there are some little truths to the things that happen in that movie pertaining to the overall scene of Hackers up until the time of the movie being made. And yet it's a masterpiece. It's just so good. It's so corny. I love it. Matthew Lillard before becoming Shaggy and that becoming a meme. Beautiful stuff. It's beautiful stuff. When I was a kid, my dad had a wooden box with a starter coil from a Model T and a giant scary capacitor on it. I don't know how many of you were around for the weird stuff that you watched Hackers last weekend. Nice. The stuff my brother bought and just gave over to me for no reason. It was a bunch of antique electronic stuff. And one of the things in there was like a spark gap vibrator thing. It had some of the oldest capacitors that I've ever seen on it, and it was just designed to go back and forth and spark. It was a crazy piece of equipment. We didn't get it working because, good Lord, I do not trust. Oh, you have it on the Kiwi Volt has it on the YouTube channel. You guys should check that out. If you can remember to type in Kiwi Volt, I'm sure it's at Kiwi Volt on YouTube. I should look that up. Let me see. Hold on. Can I just go into the account from here? No, I can't. This thing doesn't really let me. Simon and Garfunkel in a chill mix? What are you doing? I'm gonna mute it so that I don't have Kiwi Volt hitting me with copyright strikes, because you know how litigious Kiwi Volt is. Absolute mayhem. This just the worst. They're gonna sue the ever-loving crap out of me because I'm using their content in order to make my own content right now. It is just because I'm a horrible person. Kaya Place. That's awesome. I love that to death. Look at this thing. That is cool. I would never be able to live with the coils being unneat. I would never be able to do that, even though mine would look awful. That's really cool. And so you go over the whole thing. Yeah, everybody check out Kiwi Volt. Awesome. Yeah, I would have embarked on a sub project to make something to create those coils, because I wouldn't be able to. I haven't had the coil project that I was going to do. I was going to try to make like an open 3-phase motor out of a motorcycle starter, because it's got like kind of a flatter set of coils, and I was thinking I could maybe either make like a hub motor or just make something that looks like crazy, right? No, just turn the sound on. I won't. No, it's okay. Everybody can go check it out if they want to. That's all right. That's all right. I'm just making jokes. I'm making jokes. It's all just a prank, bro. I can't listen to more Simon and Gar. How do we get rid? I can't. SoundCloud clamped down on their whatever, their HTML5 player or whatever. I can't go further up in the song. We just have to live through it. It's so distracting. So we got to do the dog collar soon. That's something that we need to get, like, I need to finish it because enough is enough. We've been working on that for too long, and I haven't really worked on it over the breaks. Over the breaks, I've just had complete executive shutdown. It's been executive shutdown month for Bother. I've got to keep myself from burning out, and doing a nice miscellaneous stream will hopefully give me a little bit more of the variety spice that'll get me back into working on some of these things. I think specifically I have 2 or 3 things that I want to try with the dog collar. One of them is to get WLED to run without having any of the Wi-Fi stuff enabled. So I can put it into a sleep mode that disables the radio modem, but I think that's going to stall out some of the other pieces of the software. I think some of the other pieces of the software are doing things with HTML and hosting and that kind of stuff that has to continue to function. Because when I removed all the credentials, all the Wi-Fi credentials from WLED, it didn't work. It didn't animate. It didn't light up the LEDs. So I think what I need to do, and I don't know if I can do this, is turn all of the do's into tries or something. How many cameras do you have, and are they expensive? I was looking at new cameras. I would love to get some more professional cameras. That, however, means that I won't be able to have Chad over here be right under the monitor so that it's sort of more natural. Because this is Chad. This is a Logitech C920. They're all pretty much Logitech C920, C920 like somethings. With Logitech cameras, this is a very good song. I love this song. With Logitech cameras, they tend to take up a lot of bandwidth. Logitech expects you to have only one camera, a monogamous camera situation on your computer. And so these cameras take up a huge amount of bandwidth. And if you have them on the same USB stuff, they will use it up. They will use up all the USB bandwidth and not be able to function. So also, if they are the same model of webcam, because again, Logitech doesn't give a shit about drivers. They don't care. And so if you have them on the same bus, they'll be recognized as the same camera and you can't get into individual settings with them. You have streamer camera money, but no laser money. What are your priorities? I don't think you quite understand. I don't have money. I don't have money. I have nothing. I have nothing. I consider people flipping burgers as aristocrats compared to the amount of money that I'm making off of this stream. When we get Burn the Subs back up, there's a chance that that money doubles, triples, but it's still way less than if I just flipped burgers. I'm dead serious about that. I'm dead. I'm just dead. Anyway, no. So the Logitech cameras are cheap. They're like 30, 40 bucks. And if you play with the settings enough, you get good video out of it. Twitch is a 1080p platform. They're experimenting with some 4K stuff. This is the only camera in here that can do 4K. This is a Logitech Brio. Logitech Brio was way more expensive during the pandemic. One of my viewers sent me one. Crazy that people can do that. So I've got one of these that's pulled apart in the cabinet. This microscope is a Logitech C920. I really want to listen to this song, but somebody asked about cameras, and so I have to indulge. 4K on streaming is overrated. Yeah, I mean, for the most part, this is just a podcast for people where sometimes we look at circuits with a really cool microscope. The really cool microscope is a Logitech C920 that's been put into a Kuro Kesu. It's a fellow that does CNC aluminum bodies for Logitech webcams for like science stuff. So I put it into the aluminum body. It has a C-mount lens, so I got an adapter to an old Nikon 18mm lens. That way I get a little bit of zoom and a little bit of focus and a lot of standoff from the sensor. And that standoff from the sensor allows the microscope to be sufficiently small while also being about 2 American feet off of the table, which means I have tons of space here to work. It's actually a brilliant soldering setup. All of that is mounted to a Naga magic arm. It's one of these little things you can pose all over the place, and then it's locked to a metal plate on the top shelf of this. So that's another Logitech webcam. And then for Burn the Subs, which is the table behind me, this piece of wood is called Burn the Subs. It is going to be, and it was originally, an XY laser etching table that's mounted to the wall that burns the names of subscribers onto a block of wood in a random location. And so for that, I've got this camera, which is another Logitech C920. DSO 2D10. Oh, I also bought an oscilloscope for around 200 euros. Yeah, I got fleeced. I bought this thing. The DHO 914, the Rygal. Rygal makes really good scopes. The older versions of them you can hack to get more bandwidth. You get a full feature bandwidth because all the hardware is still there. This thing works like a big Android tablet with a bunch of knobs on it. It's great. Really good oscilloscope. I wouldn't suggest anybody goes out and buys it. I bought it for $1,000. They list for like $600 now. Like the day after I got my scope, I looked it up and it was down $200. Come on. So, oh well, can't think about that one too much. Wasn't the first time, won't be the last that I get completely fleeced by electronics. The grand scheme of pricings going up and down. But the cool part about this one is that on the intranet, on the local internet, I can pull up the entire display and click on stuff to change things. And so on OBS, I've just got it in as a website source. So if we're doing stuff with the scope and we need you guys to be able to see the wonder, and we haven't had many examples of this. There've been a couple really good examples of this happening, and it's something that I would love to display to you guys more because it's one of those like cool things with electronics that keeps me going. You know, it keeps me interested and it's exciting is when you have a signal that you're reverse engineering and you know it's there and you just need to see that little blip and the blip doesn't happen for a little bit and then boom, you get it and you've only seen it because you are going 60 frames a second at whatever resolution the scope is. You need that quickness of you know, oh, boom, oh, what was that? That was the signal, let's get it. That moment that's me. I love that. I love that moment. And with the old setup, the old Rygal scope that we had, the previous generation, I guess, it didn't have HDMI output, so we didn't get that quickness. And also, the other thing about the HDMI output that's important is that you can put the scope up on a shelf so that when your boss comes by with their coffee, they're not hitting you in the back of the head with the coffee trying to look at the scope. You know, they don't spill their coffee all over your head trying to look at the tiny little scope screen on the desk. They can have the scope up on a monitor so that they can sit back with their coffee, you know, with their spine intact while you're hunched over, sipping their stupid friggin' nasty smelling coffee in the mug that they never wash. because the mug has just like crusty stuff at the bottom of it that they call flavoring. But I don't think that's healthy, and they probably are going to get sick by it, but maybe they won't blame you. Or maybe it'll just be some kind of like a brain worm, but they're sitting there with their coffee. They're not hunched over you. But so the HDMI would have been nice. We explored a bunch of different ways with that older Rigel technology to try to get something up here so that you guys could see that sort of signal reverse engineering moment that I wanted you to. It didn't really work. We had a thing that could take screenshots, and that was measured in like minute per frame. It was the units of measure flipped. It was no longer frames per second. It was seconds per frame. Scopes are expensive, invested a lot, so I could buy. Yeah, the scopes nowadays have gone very far down in price due to, you know, just China technology rolling forward. Scopes that you can publish like a document from and know that you are accurately representing what's actually there electrically, those are more expensive. Not many people need to do that, especially not people on Twitch who are interested in this hobby, who are trying to get a little bit more of a piece of information about something they're working on that's frustrating them. Having an oscilloscope opens up the troubleshooting quite a bit. It lets you know more of what's going on. Yeah, you can find a website to put in a model number and hack the bandwidth on the scope, but scopes have become less of a special item. They're no longer tube-based, and the digital ones are fast enough that we can work with them now. And now the digital technology is far enough along that it's no longer special or new, and so the prices, and so you can get a pretty good scope from maybe a less reputable manufacturer for pennies. I don't know what that's doing to the reseller market, because, you know, companies come and go, and companies love to buy scopes. And when tech companies come around, they buy scopes for their engineers, and then they go, whoops, we're broke. And then everything ends up on the secondhand market. So you can sometimes get pretty nice stuff for very cheap. Buying a scope new used to be so much money. You were like, oh, $10,000 is the entry point for a Rigel scope. Okay. And I ain't spending that kind of money. But yeah, you can, I mean, nowadays you can go on AliExpress and you can find brand new scope for like cheap. I don't know what the performance of them's like, and the market is totally saturated with scopes. So that's on you. You got to figure that one out yourself. It's crazy though, being able to do that. I also, one of the other things that I have on the stream here is Node-RED working with OBS, so that when I switch scenes, this light's turning on and off in order to not blind everybody for the different scenes that I'm on. There are other interactive things that happen in the shop. There's the channel point farts that's powered through the Twitch API. Again, on Node-RED, that's been a big thing, is taking all of that interactive stuff and moving it onto Node-RED so that I've got a single entry point for all of the interaction with my viewers. A single entry point. That way only one thing needs credentials. And that if that one thing's credentials expires, I don't have to go through 12-month-old documents and figure out what I did originally to issue those. Oh, that one doesn't work off of Twitch chat or off of YouTube chat. I need to figure out, so the YouTube API, the thing that you would use in order to get into YouTube and do bot functions on it. Getting YouTube onto Node-RED is tricky because YouTube has tickets. You have like a couple thousand or something tickets a stream. And so to get chat messages, you would have to check in over and over and over again. Oh, that should have gone off there too. What the heck? Oh, my flow must be broken. I have a flow in Node-RED that's looking at Twitch chat. And if they say stream started, this blows up petulantly to the size of the screen for just a minute. One cycle of the animation. That sort of stuff is what the Node-RED allows me to do. It allows me to change. It allows me to break things. Why doesn't it work? Oh no, start soon. Say start soon. This is called chat engagement. There it is. So it is start soon. There's only a couple phrases that I put into it. I could probably put in a few more, but yet petulantly blows that thing up because people don't understand that this would be the beginning time where we gather people and then we do the project, even though today's project is a little bit more miscellaneous. Boom, 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 boom. This is where I'm not obligated to work on anything, you see. Just the beginning part of stream. Bum, 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 bum. Yeah, I try to I try to keep my eye on the clock and only keep it to be about an hour, which is what we're approaching. When did that happen? Wait, when did that happen? When did that happen? You see that I can just sit here and just chew the fat with you guys, and it ends up being about an hour until I mean, there were a couple moments there where I didn't know what I wanted to talk about, and I had to remember stuff that I thought I was like, I should talk about this in the stream intro. All right, let's get started before we get too much David Bowie on my stream. All right, fade out the music. Oh, I had pause. I don't have that kind of function. I can't reach the mixer from here. It's all the way over there. I do, you know, one of these days I got to do a game stream. I got to do it. I wasn't able to get start soon out of here before you actually. Oh, that actually threw a wrench in the works. Okay, now it should go away. There we go. Okay. All right. Hi. Welcome. Welcome. What's going on? I got a house full of people today, so I'm not going to be as exuberant, and I'll try to be animated. I can try to flail around a lot, but my voice is going to be very loud. I hear footsteps above me, and it's just like it makes me feel it's just weird. It's embarrassing, right? I'm sitting here yelling at the furniture all day. Anyway, welcome to my stream. I'm Oh Bother. What do you do? I'm a clown on the internet basically right now, talking about how he can't be a clown because there's too many people. Anyway, I do electronic stuff. We do electronics projects on this stream. And every now and then I get just a pile of stuff that I need to sort through in order to figure out what it does and if maybe we can do some projects with this stuff. These are projects that not going to get started anytime soon. We've got enough stuff on my table right now that I am struggling to push some of these things forward, and they sort of at that point they risk getting stored permanently. That happens a lot around here with projects, and so I'll have to pull back and reassess. And you know, sometimes we will use the bones of a former project to push forward a different project. The one thing that is sort of universal in here that I have to work on is called Burn the Subs. Burn the Subs is a wall-mounted laser etching table that burns the names of subscribers, Twitch subscribers, onto itself. I have not cracked the YouTube API yet. For Burn the Subs, we have been moving all of my shop interactivity stuff over to Node-RED and getting all of that working. What was that? That was a gift sub to Lord Examon. You see, the Twitch API stuff, and I will thank the user in just a second. The Twitch API stuff has allowed me to do things like create this idea light. The idea light, if anybody says idea in Twitch chat, this will light up to just kind of petulantly make fun of them for trying to share an idea with somebody who builds stuff instead of building it themselves. Anyway, if somebody says the word idea in chat, this lights up just to make fun of them. Yeah, it's like they like using it like a toy. And the fart box, if people spend channel points, a fart noise will be issued into Meat Space, which is the space that I share with my own audio. That's not right. It's just Meat Space. This is Meat Space, the real world. It's not a digital effect on a soundboard. It is an actual disruptive fart noise in my shop. So that's sort of where Burn the Subs exists. We need to bring Burn the Subs into reality, and so I'm doing little things that are sort of slowly moving us in the direction of actually having Burn the Subs work again. At some point, yeah, it's got a Harman Kardon speaker, the type of speaker that were in those old clear Apple speakers. For some reason, it matches up perfectly with a dollar store fart noise maker to produce crisp audio. It hurts. Did you hear the fart at the very end of the stream with Julian? I mean, like, I hit stop stream instead of going over to the technical difficulties page on that stream, and I was like, oh, I should have gone to technical difficulties, was what I normally do. And as I was having that thought, Yeah, we heard it. Of course, because that thing works 24/7. And I've had Flatulent Gonad come in here and fart this thing when I'm talking to him on Discord. Yes. Anyway, so yeah, that Burn the Subs is like one of the big deal things that's going on in this shop, and I need to kind of clean out some of the archive in order to some of the currently listed things in order to get that out of the way. So we're gonna probably have a programming stream next stream, but that's gonna be Friday. I don't know. We'll see. We'll see what I feel like doing tomorrow. Yeah, it'll fart in the middle of the night. I won't be here. You know, my bedroom's upstairs. It's not in the basement. We only have one egress from the basement, so we're not allowed to have a bedroom down here. So yeah, that does work 24/7. I'm not, listen, I'm too lazy to have, I could add a thing to Node-RED that would see whether or not I'm broadcasting in order to set off these interactivity layer things. Burn the Subs is going to have that, but the flow that I have for the fart box and the Idealite, they don't do that. It's more fun, and especially if somebody comes down here and I'm like giving them the tour, because of course this place is like #1 for giving just like tours. Oh, check out this cool thing to talk about. And it's like, please don't. This is a very personal space to me. But anyway, so, you know, somebody comes down here and they want to see all the stuff and ooh, look at all this stuff, all the blinking lights. And I go, yeah, you know, and I got this idea light. There you go. Is to see it lights up when somebody chats. I can do that. I mean, don't you fart in the middle of the night? Sheesh. Be very specific. Okay. So I, due to Short Lurker, I actually discovered Amazon hauls. For a little while, there was a promotion for Amazon hauls where you got 40% off, and they had a bunch of electronics miscellany on there. So I put a whole bunch of stupid stuff into my cart and hit order. And it was an $80 order that was knocked down to like 44, which is that was pretty neat. So I got a bunch of stuff that I've been meaning to get for a while. One of them is actually a breathing, it's like a respiratory and heart sensor. Bebo Bob, what happened? What are you talking about? Well, a package came and it had a whole bunch of cool stuff in it. That's what happened. That's why we're looking at miscellaneous stuff today. Oh, that was Veet Nukem. Veet Nukem, thank you so much for the gift sub to Lord Examon. Thank you, Veet Nukem. I really appreciate subs and gift subs. You guys are under no obligation right now, and I haven't given you any incentive because right now Burn the Subs is off. Burn the Subs does not work, but we will get it working. If you play wolf sounds, it stops babies from farting. Whatever information that fact pushed out of my brain, I really probably would have appreciated. So I don't really, I'm not going to say thank you, whatever the opposite of that is. Boy, you know, the use of factoid on the internet has really started to grate my cheese. My cheese is grated. It's really grating my butthole. A factoid, even though they've added to the definition now, right? People have used it wrong so much that they say language is evolving. So that way I can say irregardless and not be under fire. No. I look down on you for these things as I should. Some people should be ridiculed, and those are the people that say irregardless and factoid. Factoid is a piece of misinformation. It's a thing that seems correct but isn't, right? Factoid. Fact is a thing that is correct. Factoid is the opposite of that. Don't think it's like inflammable and flammable, because that one is also freaking awesome. I love that one. That one is like a little speed bump on your English, your understanding of the English language, where inflammable things are flammable. And I've just used both in the same sentence. It's crazy. Anyway, a factoid is something that's not true, but it sounds like it's like the Snapple facts that are wrong. Can Burn the Subs also burn Twitch subs? Is tape sticky? Does water make things wet? I don't know. I don't know. This thing only burns Twitch subs. I didn't say is water wet. I didn't do that. I didn't do that. That's not, no, that's not, that's a factoid about what O'Bother just said. O'Bother said, does water make things wet? Misinformation. You're spinning this. You're spinning this against me. This is slander of the highest regard. Sorry for the factoid. Sorry for party rocking. I bought this thing and I have no idea how it works. Short Lurker got it working recently. He did it using ESP Home, which I don't think I've installed yet. We're just naming crimes. We're just naming crimes. Is water required for the synthesizer? What? O'Bother's doing things that aren't directly related to getting projects done. Back into the mines. I had a buddy like that who was a coworker who did much better than me in the consulting ring because I think he got there just a little bit earlier than me, where, according to him, all time at the office was time on the clock and should be spent doing literally nothing but work. And that attitude just really, I can't agree with that at all. Like, for me to be in an environment where I flourish and I'm able to do like really good work is for me to be like present and there. And for me to be present and there, the mind needs space to play, right? You need to be able to not be just working on work at all times. Why is O'Bother broadcasting if he's not specifically soldering a circuit board that goes in to burn the subs? Why would he do this? How dare he work on any other project but burn the subs? Why are you not solely working on that? Where is the project? What's the status? I don't work like that. I can't do that. And I know as a consultant, you are on the clock. Like you're putting down your hours very specifically because you're getting supposedly paid a lot of money for your presence. I don't know. That's just not me, man. I can't work at a nuclear reactor. You know, it's too much for my brain. I get overwhelmed with that kind of thing. Anyway, so I bought this heartbeat and respiratory sensor from Seed Studio on Amazon Haul. So I got like a significant discount on it. It is an ESP32C6 with some kind of like a board underneath it, and it has the sensor right here. The sensor requires, I suppose, certain openings in the plastic in order to function so that it can remotely get blood pressure and stuff. It looks like it does need to be aimed because it's got like a tripod mount on the back here. So I think maybe this thing actually needs to be pointed at whatever it's measuring. I thought it would be really fun if I could get this thing running and I could point it at myself and use it to put more bioinformation on the overlay, because right now the Chernobyl show made it look easy. There's a game that I think Big John should get and try, but I don't know if he'll like it because it's fairly, I want to say cerebral, but it's more like, oh my God, it's called Nucleaires, and you have to get I think it's a pressure reactor, nuclear reactor running solo. So I had to actually jump in, read about nuclear reactors, read about the specific nuclear reactor that this thing is, jump into the game. There is a binder with instructions, but it's a very dry simulator. But when you get things going, things can really go wrong. And it's awesome. At the end of our playthrough of that was many years ago, many versions ago of that. It was a very fledgling version of Nucleaires. At the very end, we had to actually flee the nuclear reactor, not because everybody called in sick and it was just me running the nuclear reactor. And we got it running for a little bit, and I think we were almost on the grid. And that was back before they added like the chemistry element of the nuclear reactor, which is you can get hydrogen poisoning which is what happened in Chernobyl. You can get hydrogen poisoning in the reactor and that'll cascade and do all kinds of stuff. So we had, even before the time of hydrogen poisoning, we just barely got it on the grid, and then everything went wrong. And so we got in the escape train and left, mainly just before the lawyers got there, because I think legally I'd probably be in quite a bit of trouble. It's radiation is radiation, but yeah, that was a fun game to do on stream. I think it's too dry of a simulator. Some people like that kind of stuff though, and I thought it was fascinating. I got to drop back into nuclear. I think that would be a fun one. But for gaming streams like that, I was thinking if I could get more information, bio information on screen, because right now we have something that a lot of streamers don't have, which is if I can find we have some information that a lot of streamers don't have, which is my up to the minute glucose level. This is 2 slices of pizza destroying me right now. Madness. That was somehow coffee. Oh no, 6 p.m. Yeah, so 6 p.m. was what I was talking about with this crinkle fries. Crinkle fries are off the menu for Oh Bother. This is a nightmare. This sucked. Just the worst. Just crinkle fry. They didn't even seem like they were fried. They were just like heated up. But boom. Who knew moving time zones means it's even harder to catch up to live? Sorry about that, Taquin. We just went through daylight savings, which were they worth it? No, they weren't. They were disgusting. But anyway, so this is 2 slices of pizza doing its thing to me. But we have bio information that a lot of streamers don't have, which I think would be kind of cool to have up on stream. For, I can just make a scene in OBS and I can put as much bio information as I can without having wires dangling off of me. I already have a microphone wire dangling. When I do game streams, I don't like to be hooked up to a lot of stuff. So with this, I might be able to get respiratory and heart information, blood pressure information, maybe not blood pressure, but respiratory and heart information up on screen. I think that would be very funny if we put as much data on Oh Bother up as possible. And maybe as I lose weight, the respiratory and blood pressure numbers can go down for once. People have actually started to notice. How about a camera streaming the chat? Well, yeah, when I do like game streams, when I'm over there with like the steering wheel and stuff, I do have chat on screen. I make sure that you guys are always, that's like one of the core tenets of streaming. If I were to stream without actually seeing what the chat does, it would be a disaster. Some streamers have chat that moves so fast that they barely can pick out sentences from them, but we're not like that. We're here where we have a very personal interaction with the streamer. NASA body tracking level. What if I had like a rest? I mean, I've got the Kinect over there too, so I could do the really cool like point cloud camera. If I could make something that actually moves the camera back and forth so you see how 3D it is. Crinkle fries. If there's a place, it seems like everybody sprinkles sugar onto the fries now. Yeah, I don't understand how dense they could have possibly made these things, but it was definitely a mistake to order that food. I paid way too much for it, and it seemed like I could have just gone to the supermarket and air fried a bag of fries for the same. I don't know what they do to frozen foods, but they're so calorie dense. It's amazing, actually. You could survive a month off of a singular French fry from that. But yeah, these crinkle fries, just no, never again. I'm not eating crinkle fries. Fusion could do that, like make the thing that moves. How to learn Fusion in a week. What? Okay. Fusion has a little bit of animation stuff. I don't know if you can get a. The way I'd want to do it is Blender, because Blender's infinitely more flexible of a software platform, and everybody has stuff for Blender. So I think in Blender, there might even be like cutscene animation stuff that you can use with a Kinect. I think that might be the way to go. It's Blender, and then you can, build in some kind of a camera interaction. Boom! Flatulent Gonad is often linked me to this person. Boom! And it's too many O's. I don't know how many O's it is. If Gonad shows up, I'll have him put the channel in the comments. But she does stuff with, I think is it Blender? I think for like character animation and stuff that's just mind-boggling. There's so many interactions, so many different like rigs and stuff. Yeah, Blender has rigging, yes, but the Kinect I'm talking about. Hooking that up to my computer and getting that as like a new virtual webcam. But the more bioinformation that I can put on screen, the better. I want it to look like the Undertale dating scene where it was all of this, like all these trackers and stuff going off but they would actually be backed by like real data. So if something scares me in the game and I go, ooh, you could see that on the chart. Like, I think that'd be so cool. So anyway, this is in the same vein of all that stuff. This is I guess a biosensor of some type that's looking at millimeter wave stuff. Millimeter wave stuff can give us that kind of resolution that will allow for something like respiratory and heart rate tracking. So it's a sign of life detector. I thought that was really cool. And it was something that actually a clinical psychiatrist that I happen to know thought would be very useful. It seems to me, though, that this needs to be pointed like specifically in a direction. And unfortunately, I'm not like a health technology company. If I was already a health technology company, this stuff would be very interesting to me, because in clinical psychiatry, oftentimes you will prescribe powerful drugs to a patient and not know how it's going to interact with them fully. I say fully because obviously you're a doctor, you know a thing or two about a thing or two. But if you're prescribing these drugs to somebody, they need to stay overnight. And then a nurse needs to go around and do rounds and actually wake them up and check to see that they're okay. A really good tool in that would be something like a heartbeat and respiratory tracker that says, hey, we're not getting any readings from this room. You should go check this out and see if so, or, you know, hey, it's irregular, go check it out. So that'd be really cool. Aside from assigning like a smartwatch kind of thing on each patient. I think they have that though. Like your hospital bracelet is actually like a monitor of some type. But yeah, or if this detects like a mouse in the room, yeah. There's 2 heartbeats in there. They're pregnant. No, wait, no, it's a mouse. It was a mouse. Anyway, so this is like represents some kind of cool stuff that I could maybe check out. I think I need to get ESP Home running with that. So let's take a look. Let's install ESP Home before we get too into a bunch of the other stuff in the miscellaneous pile. What the hell? What even is ESP Home? Isn't it like a programming thing? Smart home. Do I have to sign up for a whole thing? I think maybe I need, yeah, I don't know. I want to avoid installing things like ESP Home, but everybody loves Home Assistant and they want me to use Home Assistant. I like my Node-RED. This may force me to go with one of these. I'm not totally sure. What is I think I need the ESP like programming tool. I don't think that's ESP Home. Yeah, everybody loves Home Assistant. I've not messed with it yet. What is ESP32? Actually, what I can do is Seed Studio I can just open up the page that's got the tutorial on the thing. Products. There's a whole thing for Home Assistant, huh? Not Meshtastic. I need to play with that. Meshtastic. I know where Big John is. I put my entire print farm on Home Assistant. That's kind of cool. I need to mess with Node-RED flows and make LED displays for my printers. Tool that converts YAML files into firmware. You don't need Home Assistant for it, but it does integrate into it well. Okay. Yeah, Meshtastic. My Discord has a couple people in it that are big into Meshtastic. One of them is in Philly. So if you've done anything Meshtastic, you've probably met up with this person and goes to the same endocrinologist that I do. So we always talk about the doctor. But I've been meaning to spool up that stuff, but I'm so far in the burbs that I'm in a radio blackout zone. We don't even get cell phone service here. I'm on the side of a hill near a road, and that's all I can, that's as descriptive as I can get. But that turns out that is a black hole in terms of RF capabilities. So I don't get 5G here. I barely get G at all. Otherwise, I would be throwing up, just throwing up a Meshtastic thing. But yeah, I don't have access to any of that. I've been meaning to try ESP Now. I've got a couple projects that I want to make with it, but you know, too many projects. Yes, too many projects indeed. ESP Now, is that the one? I'm looking for like the tutorial. Seed Studio. Actually, what is this thing called? I've totally lost the narrative on this one. They put their whole damn logo down here, and they didn't tell us what this thing is. What did I order? What did I order? What are you? Listen, everybody out there, I want to make something clear to you. Name your project and put your project name on your project. Because if you don't, you end up like me right now, which is frustrated, wondering what in the hell this thing is that I bought and how I find out any information on it. And I may be unique in getting myself into situations like that, but it happens. Happens more than I've admitted. More than I care to admit to myself. And now I've got to go through this stuff to see what Seed Studio actually has. What would the category be? Just type respiratory. See, this is what is actually powering it, but it's a different thing. Well, maybe we won't look it up now just because I'm too stupid for it right now. Yeah, doing the search on, well, that's originally where I got it from, so maybe we can find a little bit of information on it there. This is the stuff, by the way, for those of you that think Obother's like super smart, this is the stuff where like you can actually put a pin on how smart Obother is where I'm totally unprepared, and I end up having to think on my feet a little bit and actually like being able to Google something in order to responsibly use the hardware that he's ordered for like $40. This is where you can go, Bother's one of us. He's just a normal person. There's nothing special. Aside from the fact that I launched myself into the thing that normally people would avoid out of embarrassment. So what are we? We are a Seed Studio Wave. This thing. This MF right here. This is the 6 meter one. It doesn't matter which one. Just say cool thingamajig and buy it. What do you think the haul was all about? Amazon haul. They put all this stuff in front of you, and I was like, yes, this and this and this. Give me this thing. Give me that thing. Awesome. It was nice and well designed. What the hell is this thing called? Zhao 60 gigahertz Wave human fall detection sensor kit. Wait, it was fall detection? I didn't think it was fall detection. I've fallen. Help! I've fallen. It is human fall detection. Oh, interesting. Can you just do that with an accelerometer? I'm not adding it to cart. It's not on super sale. I've fallen. 60 offering reliable fall detection, huh? I know it's fall. The leaves are changing color and stuff. Featuring light level sensing and RGB LED for customizable interaction. Oh, geez. And support for extended sensors and actuators. It provides a next level sensing. Oh, so it's not, this isn't respiratory. For more response automation with the Zhao ESP32C6, that's a powerful brain that this thing has. That thing can probably run a Minecraft server. Kit comes with pre-flashed ESP home firmware and wireless connectivity via Wi-Fi. Thanks to the pre-flashed ESP home firmware, this kit offers no-code plug-and-play integration with Home Assistant to customize detection zones, making it an ideal solution for healthcare monitor, safety, elderly care, automation, and more. There are two models. Yeah, the 6 meter and the regular one, right? Is the regular one respiratory rate and this one is fall detection? Or, because I know it's fall. I made the joke twice just to see. This thing might be useful when you're going rock climbing to see who died. I mean, maybe if you fall detection while streaming, I guess it's not going to be such a big thing, huh? What's up, Short Lurker? It's early for you. Human static present detection. This one's up to 6 meters. So it's pre-flash with ESP Home. I mean, that doesn't mean that I have to use ESP Home. I could maybe flash my own thing if I want. We're just checking it out. We're just looking at it. I don't know what this fall you're speaking of. It was 80 degrees last week, and today it's 50. All I know is summer and winter. It's like a switch that goes back and forth. I know. We had a little bit of a dip into the cold. Both can do 6 meters, just tuned closer for breathing heartbeat. Oh, so it's actually the millimeter wave function depreciates over distance to the point where you can't get respiratory information, but right up close, you get enough data that you can actually add respiratory rate to the rest of the suite of data this thing would be getting, or the suite data that this thing is getting. Okay, so this is, I've looked up the wrong one. How do I get there from here? Oh my God. It's just the navigating the website. Really? So things that I'm looking for here in order to get to the page for the other one is like a category that I could drop into. Seed Studio Zhao is an entire category. What's that? What's the idea? Now I have the idea to mount these around the house. I don't need more projects. I'm gonna stop watching. Bad for my budget. That's how I feel about reading Hackaday. I no longer can open up Hackaday, even though I've written for them. I was one of their authors. Their authors are basically just random internet nerds that they find, oftentimes making or at least this is how it used to work, make a post on Reddit and then delete the post in like 2 hours. And the people that you get, if they can write at all, then they can be a writer on Hackaday and you hire them. And so in Hackaday, my responsibilities included looking at their tip line email, which is so active that you can just pluck projects from that, write up a little blurb, post it. The editor doesn't do any editing. They just let it go. And there you go. I miss Hackaday. Used to be a daily read. Yeah, I loved it. It was great to hear about the projectosphere around the internet. The only problem is you go to Hackaday, you see a bunch of these awesome projects and you go, whoa, that exists? I'm going to buy one of those. And you end up spending a bunch of money just from going to a stupid website. Here's human breathing, and I think this is the one that I have. Yeah, this would be the one that I have. It is the same thing. The distance is just slightly different. Yeah, same thing. Okay, getting down here. Looking at the features. Made for ESP Home. I wonder if I could throw something else on it. Use the ambient light sensor to decide if a light should turn on. Okay. Can you do an ESP Home node? I think you can. Okay, yeah, ESP Home is a whole thing. This would be to ESP Home. I don't think breathing sensor is on this list of devices. Select siren, switch, text, number, media player, lock, light, fan, cover, climate, maybe in climate somewhere. It looks like this might not be catered to ESP Home. What's up, Brink? How you doing? Brink Gigi. We link what? I'm just looking around to see if this is possible that I can use it directly. I don't know what this tutorial is. All right, anyway, let's not get too bogged down on this stuff. There may be, is there like a tutorial somewhere? Pre-flashed ESP Home firmware enabling seamless plug-and-play integration with Home Assistant. Configure the device in ESP Home. No code set up for Home Assistant in 1 to 2 minutes. If I had all of that stuff running, which I don't. And I kind of want to avoid it. So I'll think of what I can do here. I'm probably going to have to end up installing ESP Home and signing up for it and yada yada. Added one additional Grove connector, so that's for some other system. Human static present detection up to 6 meters. Breathing and heartbeat detection 1.5 meters. So you got to be close to the sensor. I see. Okay, so that's the downside of it. That's why you probably couldn't have it like as on your bedside table. You might be able to have it on your bedside table. Although the scenario under which the detector would go off would be very similar to the nuclear launch detector, where what are you going to do, right? I want to get that chip. There's a chip that is a nuclear event detector. You can get a radiation hardened version of it, which is like a gold box with a bunch of pins coming out. It looks a lot like the emote logo for the channel. I want to get one of those nuclear event detector chips, and I want to put it in one of those display glasses, the like, you know, glass that you would put like a science museum display inside, and have a meter that's basically just a voltmeter, but you would change the dial to say nothing, and then on the other side it would say nuclear launch, and you would have the needle, and then you would very carefully hide an Arduino in the base somewhere. You would hide an Arduino in the base and hook up to the voltmeter, because the setup would look very simple. The nuclear event detector, and you'd have a little like card that would have information about what the chip is, what it does, how it works. The nuclear event detector, if it sees the radiological cloudburst from a nuclear event, it will drop its output from 5 volts to 0. That's all it does. That's all it does, right? That's it. It's a pretty big deal if it does that. You could hook a whole data center up to that and say, oh my goodness, there's a nuclear launch. Let's park all the hard drives for the apocalypse. Like crazy, right? So if you had that all in the glass and you hid the Arduino in the bottom and you put that in line with the volt sensor, you could make that needle go every now and then just drop back down. I think that would be a great project, but I haven't been able to source the chip itself. It's probably only commercially available, so. So I got a bunch of other stuff. There's a bunch of other cool stuff. Some of them are the same thing. This one is also a millimeter wave, I believe, presence sensor. It doesn't look like I'm going to be able to use this thing anytime soon. Is it though? Wait, what is this? I'm gonna hold on a second. I'm gonna open up my order history, which means I gotta open up Chrome. Hold on. I gotta open up Google Chrome. This is gonna hamstring my whole computer and bring it down. Busy with work as usual, but I wanted to check in, hoping all is going well. Makes me wonder if the Doomsday Clock website has an API or something. That would be probably kind of fun. But I mean, honestly, like you don't want that to go off like ever. All right, so open up Amazon on Chrome because I'm still logged in. Oh, I'm actually not. Okay, that's convenient. Sort of convenient, sort of also not convenient. There is an API. Huh. All right, maybe I got to sign into my account. I can't show you guys this. There's a chance somebody will get the reflection of my password off of my glasses. Oh, that's the wrong one. Okay, cool. So I can actually see what I ordered. So we'll scroll, find the thing. Smart Human Presence Sensor Radar Module, 1.25 to 2.54 millimeter DuPont cable, 24 gigahertz LD 2410 millimeter wave motion sensor. That's what this is. I got it for pennies on the dollar. What do you do? Where's the information? Wait, they changed the, wait a minute. It's all just this stuff. Oh God. With an customer review. So maybe I should just look up. This is the module. look up the module. Shenzhen H-Link Electronics. Okay. $2. I got ripped off. I don't want to look at these prices. Yeah, they're doing a thing called haul, and I guess you could just like throw a bunch of stuff into a shopping cart and order it all at once so that maybe they can save a little bit on shipping. So I decided to give it a try. They had a promotional like 40% off of it, and I jumped in and I got a bunch of stuff, and that's sort of what we're looking at today. We're looking at a bunch of the stuff that I sort of threw in the basket. Yeah, it's sort of, but it's for crap. It's for crap. It's for crap. So, what do I do with this thing, huh? What are we doing? That was terrible. I'm sorry. I'm sorry for doing that. The longest distance sensing is up to 5 meters. Human body sensor light control. Can I get a pinout, maybe? Oh, here we go. Ah, you need a UART. Well, we can play with the LED, I guess. 5 to 12 volts ground, and then there's 2 UART pins there. I like crap. Yeah. I mean, you know, like this is fun. We get to play with a bunch of bullshit that I threw onto a shopping cart. There's some merit to that. This thing is built small. It's built with very small electronics, just in general. And so the pins aren't even a 0.1 pitch. So I can't just throw this onto a prototyping board. That board has Bluetooth on board. If you have a spare phone to install the app, you can see all the data. Oh, I see. For the other one. Yeah, I mean, I don't want to mess with the Bluetooth necessarily right off the bat, because, oh, look at that, the keyed connector, but these aren't keyed, because my diabetes equipment is all running on Bluetooth on the thing. Yeah, the steppers were super cheap. What I was thinking of for the steppers is I want to make a split flap display off of that 3D printable design, and those are perfect for the split flap, because they're what's called for, they're what's designed around. Geez, what? These aren't the right... These don't even work together, and yet they came together in the... What? Maybe they want me to use this side of it. I thought this was the prototyping side, and I would be able to use these on these little pins that are way too close together. Yeah, because these are 0.1 inch DuPonts. These don't plug in next to each other. They're like this. Yeah, see, these are like 1 millimeter pitch. But this is the wrong type. These need to be slightly more like bladey than square headery to go into this connector, unless I've already just ruined the connector, or if I just cram the two together. I mean, I guess it'll kind of work. But you can see it's like pushing out the connectors right now. It's ruining the connectors inside. Oh my goodness. This is a nightmare. This is a horrible nightmare. I just want to power it up, so we'll just see here. The big capacitor denotes which ones are VCC and ground. So let's give this thing 5 to 12 volts and see what it does. The LED will, spoilers, the LED is just going to light up and that's it. So much dog barking. Oh my God. Let's give it 6 volts. 6 volts on the clock. You know, we never told Willow that she was a guard dog. She just kind of decided that that was her job. And now we can't do anything about it. Power, this one's ground going in here. This one is power, which is off right now. And then just set this thing up on something. And then power it up. This thing sucks. The LED isn't even turning on. It is drawing current, though. What are you even supposed to be doing? I thought you were detecting if there's a presence. It is certainly heating up. The microcontroller or the controller or whatever the hell it is indeed heating up, and it is taking a varied amount of current from the power supply. I've got like 70 milliamps to 120. However, you're supposed to be detecting the presence of a human. Do I need to... Oh, here, hold on. Pin 1, target status output, human presence detected, UART, TX and RX, ground, power input, accepts 5 volts. No other information. I would assume that this LED is whether or not someone is present. They don't explicitly tell you. 24 gigahertz meter wave radar sensor technology. Human body sensor light control. Human body inductance wake up. Life safety. Are you safe, life? Ha! What is the point of the LED? It's not turning on. Yeah, this is millimeter wave tech. What company is that? I don't know what company that is. But it clearly it's not detecting me. I'm right here. I'm right here. Just say something. I'm right in front of you right now. Can we just talk? The LED is the photo sensor. Oh, so that's for light. Damn it. Okay, so we need to actually communicate with the UART in order to utilize this thing. Okay, so that's just, the photo sensor is just so that these things aren't working in the dark and they don't detect like a mouse. You would have it detect whether or not somebody's in the room or not. I don't know. Is that what the LED is? Photo. They don't mention photo anywhere on the page. My dog is having a field day up there. If you guys hear any barking. Yeah, we need to use the output pin actually, which is on. That would be purple. And then if I get an LED, which I do have out right now, because we did all that. My attempt at slicing a circuit board failed heartily, but that does mean that we have parts sitting out on the desk. So I think there's an LED literally sitting right here. Yep. There we go. And I hook that up to ground. Ground. Dog is barking at the roofers next door. Oh, come on, these thin leads barely making a connection. Wait, did you just autofocus? Don't you dare. Okay, it's not. No, it's just... well, the LED's on. Oh, this thing's on like fire. Jeez, the thing's... So, at the expense of a significant amount of heat, this thing has detected me. The LED is on. So if I flip us around here and we look the other way. Storm coming, I can see the clouds. It is no longer detecting? It's just my orange LED is very dull. No, it's still... Ugh, damn it. These leads are for like regular sized stuff. They do not stay on these very thin LED leads. Let's get this like perched up here. Perch it all up here, and that way we'll all be able to see what's going on. It's an infrared space heater, yeah. Nyano Cat with a Prime for 23 months. Thank you so much, Nyano. Oh wait, when did Tiguan Dragon resub too? We had Nyano Cat sub with a Prime for 23 months. Thank you for those primes. Those don't remind you to use your Prime on your favorite streamer. And I think one of mine has lapsed already. I gotta figure out who my Prime is going to. I gotta stick this in here in a weird spot, so it'll feel funny at first, but we'll get there. Yeah, that'll make better contact. Damn it. Then that falls away. You come back here, you go in this way. Come on. And then if I missed it, Taekwon Dragon resubbed for 17 months. I thought, wasn't there a gift sub in there somewhere? So that didn't show up on my thing. Oh, that was Veet Nukem triggering a hype train. So Taekwon Dragon said, who knew moving time zones is even hard to catch up live? Okay, so I did read that comment. Smith Clay did a 3-stream streak. Wow. Yeah, Veet Nukem, thank you for the sub gift as well. So, all right, now I'm caught up, so we can take a look at this thing. If I can get this LED to be visible. This is what miniature perforated prototyping boards are for. Where did the one go that I had? I had one sitting there. It is. So we can move this over to here. Using more leads. Everything needs leads. Leads. If it leads, it leads. Lead. That word is going to start semantically satiating if I keep going with it. That one's like 40 feet long. I need to organize my leads is what I need to do so that I can get a bunch of the little short ones quickly. Because when we're hooking up something tiny like this for like a temporary test setup, I don't need the long ones to carry stuff back and forth. I'm leadless. I do not know where my other leads are. All right, so I'm just trying to set this thing up properly. Let's get back out here a little bit. Sorry, my whole stream's falling apart before my very eyes. You need the RDO 3D 24G radar sense module, multi-target, human motion trajectory localization, and tracking radar module. What do you think it is that I do when I stream games? I'm not doing acrobatics around the shop. I need a laser focus on one person's respiratory rate, right? Close-ups only. I was ready for my close-ups. Hello from IKEA Bus Wi-Fi. Wow, that's impressive. IKEA Bus Wi-Fi? Why would you squish my visage through that? Yes, you guys can make the joke about the location. Talking about leads, being driven to leads. All right, here are the ones that I'm looking for. So, okay, so we can get our Grand here. Power. What just happened? I got, like, pulled it out. It's weird. Okay, whatever. Power over here, doesn't matter. Let's get the cables sort of out of the way. And then we can jump from ground here to ground here. Ground to ground. This one has solder all over it, so it's a little bit of a weird... I eat basil for breakfast. Our basil plant, we recently took it down because we got sort of a pseudo frost already, and then that also became like a pretty hard frost that we had just recently. So we had an entire plant of basil to deal with. It was a lot. I think I'm going to be making, pesto. I have pesto in my future, which means more chopping of garlic. I made a leek and potato soup last night, or the other night, not last night. Last night was pizza. The other night I made a leek and potato soup. It was awesome. Turns out all of the flailing around for a recipe for leek and potato soup is completely unnecessary. It is just very, very easy. It's one of those soups where if you just kind of know what has to happen, you can make that soup. That's as hard as it gets to make leek and potato soup. You literally just cook everything and then blend it all together. But it makes a good soup. If you know how to get the balance of pepper right, you're in good hands. Fermented basil. That's a thing. People ferment everything, don't you? You folks, you just ferment everything. Just no regard for societal norms. We live in a society, chat. We live in a society, and you guys are out here in this society fermented. Wait, that's not going to work. Fermenting basil. There are rules. There are rules that you must stick to, generally agreed upon for things to function. Like not using two wires that are the same color on your setup. Bother's Basil Brew. It sounds good, but it doesn't sound good, you know? You know? Why am I brewing like 5-alarm heartburn right now? Well, oh yeah, greasy pizza for lunch, and I have the audacity to say, why do I have heartburn? Yeah, okay. Let's call a spade, Bother. Sorry, I'm trying to make like a nice little clean setup here. Because I'm particular about these sorts of things. It always slows me down. But now, we have a cromulent setup whereby my leads do not get disconnected in the middle of actually trying to sense whether or not there's a respiratory system or a circulatory system sitting in front of a sensor. The light is on. You guys still can't see the freaking light. I put all that work and effort into making sure that the light was visible, and then you can't see the light. Okay. Oops, on replay. I don't know what's going on anymore. The purple wire all the way down here is now connected to the LEDs plus via this wire here. See, look. See? Indigo. Indigo is what we would say for that color. Indigo. I think indigo is a fake color. Give me this. You son of a... Okay, this test setup does nothing but fight me. There we go. Indiglow. I'm a watchmaker. Which watches were those with Indiglow technology, which was electroluminescence? Same stuff that powers EL wires. Is it Swatch? It was Swatch. Jeez. Okay. Mess managed. Now we've got this guy just constantly seeing a person because there's a 263-pound person sitting right off camera, and that's what it's detecting. So if I point it somewhere where there's no humans, will it unilluminate? I'm seeing a big old goose egg here. That's what I'm seeing. Although, get my hand out of the way. This thing is supposed to be detecting it's human presence. This one is not specifically respiratory. It's not specifically looking for a respiratory system to detect. This is also just an on-the-whim purchase on that Amazon Halls thing, which is just basically Prime Day, but Temu. And they had like a significant discount on all this stuff. Even still with that, on AliExpress and stuff, this is like $2. So I think mostly, Segex, what is that? Mostly what's going on is that I saved a ton on shipping from China is mainly the thing. Yeah, big old goose egg. Can I get this in a scenario where it does not detect? Because I think this thing works. Maybe it's just bouncing off of weird stuff. Let me put it over here, because my leg is right here. See that? That's my leg. If I can detect out this way, then there won't be a human presence sitting right here. So I get this. That's one of the things about a good test setup is you want to get it so that your wires are not destroying your results. You can hold it like that, and it can look over the edge of the table where there's nothing. I'm actually going to clamp down on the connector. Well, this is why we do testing like this. It helps me contextualize what this thing is capable of, and perhaps I will then be able to see it in some kind of a project in the future. Although so far... Oh! Was it me doing that? I think that might have been me doing that. Yeah, that was me doing it. That was me touching my indicator light. So I'm gone. I'm not anywhere in the sensing area of this thing unless it is radio waves. So maybe it does get over to me right over here. So maybe what I need to do is leave. Maybe I just need to leave and see whether or not anything happens. Do we have like a... I guess we could just take this and move over like that. Why do I have that song stuck in my head? I've got to lock down the blue microphone arm in order to put this thing... there we go. Okay. All right. So we're just doing a quick little test of this thing. I'll put this on the camera. Well, it's really messing with my head because I can't... everything's flipped because the camera's now... I'm looking the other way. Oh my God. Okay. I can't look at the camera. I just need to prop this thing up like that. There we go. If only you had another phone to connect the app to it. This thing has the app? That does? I don't think this one. I think it's this one that has the app. The bigger, the C6. Okay, now I'm gonna walk away. I'm gonna see what this thing does, if it works at all. The LED should turn off when I walk away. And I should be able to peek over at the screen from far away and see whether or not... I see an LED. I see an LED. Let me get behind this stuff. Okay, I am now lurking in the bushes. I'm lurking in the bushes. I'm like way over here. See me? I still see an LED on. No, it's just solid. This thing is crap at detecting people. This is supposed to sense if someone's in the room, and I am definitively not in the room. Let me get further out. Okay, I'm further away. I can still see the LED, but I'm real far away. Are you kidding me? This thing sucks. This thing's terrible. There's no... Literally, it could just be... maybe the camera's frozen. What is this? This is some kind of a poop show, is what's going on here. So this thing is supposed to be sensing respiratory movement, and somehow either my fan or something is just making it... So it's not really much of a human detector. It could be a good dog detector, maybe. But it's like... I shouldn't have any... I am out the door. Like, I am out the door. All right, now I come into the room... And the LED is still, it's still illuminated. It's still completely illuminated. This thing sucks. HLK radar tool. It's a humidity detector. It's a human dignity detector, and it's not registering anything. I'm using the same module. You have the exact same module, and I have it integrated into an existing ESP Home thing I made a few years ago. You're talking about this guy? The one that were actually the high link? That's cool. High level occupied, low level unoccupied. That's what we're hooked up to. So yeah, it literally should light up if it detects a human in a room. The 1D2410B. And that is, I gotta double check. Sorry, Shorts. This thing, yeah. Okay, so you've been using this to success, and you can hook this up to Bluetooth. That's kind of interesting. So I don't know what the initial setup on it is at all. That's cool. I did not know that you already had this. Yeah, because I ordered this stuff like just blindly firing. I was just blindly hitting buttons. I was like, that looks cool, that looks cool, that looks cool. No, this thing thinks that everything human, everything computer, and also everything human. I ordered it the night after we looked at the Zhao. I see, I see. This could be a great synthesizer. What do you, what? But it's not doing anything. You had it set up the same night? Oh, via Bluetooth, via the phone? How do we know it's working properly? That's exactly what that's why, that's what we're doing right now. That's what we're doing right now. So there might be some initial setup that I'm not doing. Because like I can fully leave the room and then the LED just stays illuminated. I don't know how far I'd need to leave in order to make it actually turn off. I can get pretty far away before the mic is cut off. Let me go into the next room, like significantly. I'm gonna like actually, Bother's just gonna leave. I'm just gonna leave. I'm just leave. Okay, you guys don't want me here anymore, I guess. So I guess I'll just go. I guess I'll just. Okay. No, I can tell. I can tell when I'm not really welcome. You know, just not. Nobody wants to. Wants me to be in the room. Want me to help go over here, all the way over here, where the mic cable barely reaches, where I can still peek in and look to see whether or not. I think the LED's it's still on. I wonder what it's picking up. Or if maybe it's just so not configured that nothing is happening. Yeah, that LED is not turning off, is it? I can see it from all the way over here. This is stupid. Let me go all the way over here. All right, now I'm like 2 rooms away. The mic cable can get me right up to the bathroom, so I'm sitting here right next to the bathroom door with the mic cable only just barely taut. I measured it very specifically so that I could get everywhere that I needed to go. But if I tried to use the bathroom with the microphone on, it's impossible. All right, I'm coming back. Coming back. It didn't turn off at all, did it? It's a yeah, welcome to the stool stream. Oh, did that one not go off or did I not hear it? Yeah, so this is the how do we know that it's not working properly is I leave the room and then we see whether or not the LED turns off. You can take your phone and watch the stream and go shopping. I can just get out of the whole house. No, I think something's still not configured in it. And we'd either have to hook up to the UART or I would have to get my phone and connect to this thing with Bluetooth because apparently this thing speaks Bluetooth. When there's no one in the room for a long time, you can turn off the TV, the air conditioner. Confused from the fighting setup? I mean, if I power it off and on again. Because if it flailed around and it calibrated wrong, maybe that had an effect. Oh, come on. Stupid thing. Make it nice and visible. Make sure the sensor is still visible too. I'm just trying to prop this up. It's just kind of fighting me. And now that we're using these jumper leads, we've got a good connection, so. Not a very good blue dentist. What does that mean? So let me just see. I'm going to take another step out just to see if it, booting it in the setup instead of just sort of rattling it into the setup. Maybe it calibrates itself when it boots. Probably not though. Okay, now I'm peeking in the window. I'm sneaky. No, there's no way. It should have turned off by now. I think it's not. I don't think this thing is calibrated. I think that's what's going on. We got other stuff to look at too. That we should switch to. I mean, I could BRB this and just go to the, yeah, because after having talked about the bathroom for a minute, I got to pee. All right, I'm gonna go to the bathroom and we'll see whether or not this thing goes off at all. So I'm gonna mute, put up a BRB. What is he doing? He's trying to detect a human. Here, wait a sec. I can do this. What do we have on this one? What in the fuck was I doing when I made this? Oh, I lost it. Hold on. Where is it? There it is. Nope. Oh, OBS. Your click and drag is so annoying. Good God, that's annoying. Okay, where is it? It's this one. So currently it says human. I'm gonna go use the bathroom. I'm not gonna put up a BRB because it's like 2 pages that I have to navigate through. So, well, if I'm gonna be muted, I might as well. Sorry, I'm tripping over my words because I'm like burping. Studio mode, frameless overlays. I need to fix the buttons on my Stream Deck because currently they are not that helpful. Oh, those are the, hold on, frameless overlay, and then we need a BRB2. Where's BRB2? Jeez, I can't find anything because ugh. BRB2. Why can't I see it on my own list? There it is. Jeez. Okay, there. That was easy. Jeez. Be right back. Okay, that's not the music I would have chosen. It's just what was currently present on the SoundCloud. It's a good ghost detector. Did it turn off at all? So the reason it's so complicated is because I moved scenes on the Stream Deck. And when you do that, it's no longer pointing towards the right stuff. So what I need to do is I need to make the button that controls, actually, wait, this one still works. Oh, that one works. Okay, never mind. This button, the one that's on the Stream Deck main page, still works. It's the ones in my overlays section that need to be repointed at the specific scene. I organized them a little bit better. And so in doing so, I made a bunch of my buttons broken. So this thing did not turn off at all when I was gone, huh? This thing is supposed to be using, what, 24 gigahertz radio waves to detect the presence of a human, and its one output is supposed to go low when there ain't no human. It couldn't be more simple. I don't know if this thing is configured from the factory properly. There's the manual. Although they do say plug and play, easy assembly. Up to plus minus 60 degrees. 24 ISM with FCC and CE spectrum. 5 to 12 volts. We've got it running off of 6 volts right now. So we're giving it power. We gave it a scenario where there wasn't a human. It's just not, it just doesn't work from the factory, I guess. We probably need to configure it. So, okay, let's move on. Those are 2 of the human detectors. Let's see what the third one, what that one does. Because again, like, I don't want to have an ESP home stream, so I'll need to, I mean, either, I don't know, get another phone and detect, or, you know, both of these are Bluetooth I could do. This one that I'm holding has ESP home stuff already on it. So I could potentially spool up ESP home, get that running on my server, and then function out of that and get this thing running. And this one has a little post hole, so I could potentially make it mount to the thing that holds the mixer over at the desk over there. So when we have game streams, we can have a respiratory meter on stream. That's going to take a little bit more fiddling. So this one goes up here for now, and I will get to that thing because it costs like $30. So we can get rid of human. I was very disappointed in this thing not working from the factory. I don't know why they would make this thing like that, not detect a human at the very least from the factory. That or something in our test setup was too janky to survive, but I don't think anything was. Do you think it'll detect the fan? I don't know. Yeah, I don't know what specific kinds of objects. Like if I point it over here and I put it way over here, the LED still does not turn off. And I should be far enough away from it now for it to actually turn off the LED. It could be detecting the fan. I mean, right now it's near a bunch of like wibbling electronics. So here, let's get the synthesizer tester out of the way. This big chunky thing. Because right now it would be trained on like this area of the desk. Yeah, if I turn off the power supply, the LED turns off. Note that down in your notebooks. It is a data point after all. So there should be nothing too offensive to the 24 gigahertz in this area, and the LED is still illuminated. You can add display and show some values from the sensor. Yeah, I know I can do all kinds of stuff, like to get into the UART, but the sensitivity threshold is by default is set pretty low. And this is well, actually, wait a sec. Those light strips are a source of quite a bit of RF noise. If I back up a little bit here, maybe now it'll undetect the human. because I'm like a meter away here, and it's now pointing away from me, and it's still on strong. So I don't know. It should be high frequency enough that nothing really affects it, but I do know that those the desk lights, the LED strips that I used, they put out quite a bit of electronic noise. There's some sort of material that that one could shield it with. A static bag might do that. I don't really have static bags available right now. And if it is 24 gigahertz, I don't know if it makes it through this plastic. Well, anyway, that's unfortunately it's a bit of a face scratcher there. Let's turn the lights back on. I've got one more that we could maybe look at. Well, like a box over top of it. Would it penetrate out of that? There. Now it's completely covered. Yeah, I don't think this is a I think this is a sensitivity issue. I think it's just detecting literally everything, and unless I put it in a completely empty room with nothing in it, it's just gonna say, hey, I see something. All right, so let's turn this off. Boop. Unhook our test setup, and now we can take a look at the third one of these things that I got. I have the smaller version of the module, but haven't tried it yet. I'm watching with interest. Yeah, I was really hoping that I could get something cool going on this. It seems as though I need to hook up to this with a phone, so I don't really want to do that on stream, but this. I mean, Shortlurk has gotten the one that he has to work, so it's a thing. That sensor does have PC software you can plug into it to get values, as well as separate Bluetooth, Android, iOS software. All for like $2 for this. That's crazy. That's a lot for this thing. All right, so I'm just going to do that. And we got that for another day. For another day, I'll have to think about projects that could use something like that. Okay, so the third one that I got is this thing, and I think it's just the module, and I don't think I have what it takes to get it to work right out of the box, but maybe it's like the other ones. OT1, RX, and OT2. So 2 outs from this thing. I can identify this if I go through my order history, which you guys are not allowed to see. So let me just open that up real quick. Real quick like, just jump in. And then this one is the RD03E 24G. Let's try it out. Let's get some information on it. Not a YouTube video. AI Thinker and RF what? Manufacturer's called AI Thinker. Oh, I see. Do I get a data sheet? Oh, there it is. Son of a bitch. Let's see. Robot shop, Arduino forum. Oh, Chinese. Medium. Oh, this is nice. Cool. Okay. No. Radar detector module equipped with Ike Legends. What the fuck? Ike Legends and chip. Developed by Shenzhen AI Thinker Technology Co. Limited. Oh, these names. It operates in 24 gigahertz K-band with modulation bandwidth of up to 1 gigahertz per single frequency scan. This module uses FMCW waveform and advanced signal processing technology proprietary to the S3. Blah, 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 blah. Oh, God. Yes, I would love your newsletter. Thank you. Let's see. The module can detect and identify movements and micro movements of the human body and report real-time distances. It can detect targets and gestures. Gestures, huh? In designated areas and report the results in real time. That is a lot of more detection than lighting up an LED. So it's probably, yeah, UART, TX, and RX. Reserved interface function will be defined. So yeah, we can't get into this thing without something smart. We're not smart. Ranging firmware. Gesture recognition firmware for the NE2269. Wait, what? STM32 drives. Anixel RD3 light up LED tutorial. Accurate ranging host computer. This is for RDO3. For the is this for the SMT32? Maybe that's what those are. And I could potentially use that to hook it up to a Zhao, and then we could actually get some data out of this thing. So let's get, I guess, an STM32 Zhao, which I happen to have 3 of sitting right here. We'll have to solder some headers onto it. I got a couple of these little guys. These are the C6s. C3s I have in the bin. So let's get a C3 out. We don't need the entire C6 or C3. We can do just a more basic STM, but STM32 still at that. The last one we had is sitting with the dog collar project. All right, let's see here. What is this one? What are you? Oh, wait, the other ones I have are still in their little baubles. Because this one is an RP2040. These are the C6s. Let's just set up a C6. That seems easier right now, since I've got them right here. Now, this one already has an antenna on it. The other C6 that I saw was with the sensor that I bought, and it seemed like it had the external antenna hooked up. Does this need to have an antenna hooked up to it? Sometimes you can damage systems by not having an antenna. Maybe I just won't do the antenna, and we'll just see what happens. Not like these were terribly expensive. They weren't cheap, though. So it's going to be that row. I plug these into the headers just so that everything is squared up and so that we don't melt anything when I'm soldering it. Okay, so that's all set up there. These headers out of the way. We get the whole test set up out of my face. Okay, there we go. Yeah, I think maybe it does have PC software, and maybe I could just hook it up to a UART. That would probably be the easiest way to do it. Let me just solder this, and then we'll figure it out. I don't know if I want to trust an EXE though. And I think they said they had like firmware. I think it's for. I think you got to do it through a microcontroller, maybe. I don't know. We'll check out in just a second. Give it some time, let it get in there. Okay, we're good on that. Get over to the other side. Make sure not to solder the button by accident. The message was for a previous module? Ah, okay. Okay. Well, it does, I mean, it does look like these have something on the website, but I think it's with the LD2410 had PC software. I downloaded it, tried it. I think you had a web page open for the module, and it had the download for the PC ranging tool ICIC. Well, we'll check that out in just a minute. I've undone the whole test setup, so this site that we're looking at now for the current module is yeah, you gotta be careful of that kind of button. Those are tough. You need like a button wand in order to operate those buttons properly. Soldering on the headers. That's a good day for it, though. It's cold. Cold out. It's cold outside, but I got a nice hot soldering iron sitting in front of me. Third module, also, see that? Yeah, that's what I was looking at. PC ranging tool downloaded that, so you would open. Haven't tried that one. We may just try that one because we haven't gotten any results from these human detector sensors. Mostly because of my low-tech approach to not having anything intelligent at all plugged into them. So we should probably try something a little bit smarter. And this is just what's sitting in front of me, so we'll do that. I crafted Bother's Basil's Brews into the funny section of the... Oh no, what have you done? I don't know why it falls on me for basil brew when I wasn't the one talking about fermenting basil. I'm not doing it. That ain't me. We made pesto. Okay. Headers on a Zhao. Now I have a C6, I have a C3, and I have an RP2040 in the shop. So we've got all of our bases covered in terms of microcontrollers. Hooking up to a UART, though, is a little bit easier. I can just get a UART out of the cabinet here. Where's my trusty SparkFun programmer? It's right here. And we can hook up to the TX and RX, and then this becomes a virtual COM port device. Is pesto a liquid or solid? I don't think you want fermented pesto. Pesto is an emulsion. It's emulsified basil and garlic and all the good stuff in oil. You guys are the ones that have Google. I don't have Google, okay? I can't look stuff up. You guys just look stuff up. You don't need me. You can answer your questions. You have the whole sum of human knowledge in front of you, and you have to ask me. Related firmware downloads, specification, development, STM32 drivers, accurate ranging host computer. So let's check out this thing. Cool. Awesome. 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 Cool. Very cool. Thanks, guys. Really appreciate what you're doing here. Nothing. Well, I don't know. Maybe they have a Chinese website that I could get it from. Where are we? We're .com right now. I mean, this should, by all means, but nope. Cool. Well, all right. All that for nothing. Maybe that explains the price. Medium's like a blog. Yeah, I mean, it's so... Oh, official website might have it. Yeah, that's... So the Medium links are just... Okay, yeah, I didn't catch on to that at all. Products. Oh, they have a lot of stuff. Yeah, we'll go in directly through this website. That's probably better. Going in through medium.com is silly. So from here... that's just a PDF. A lot of info. Okay. Really? Oh, document. Docs.notloading.com. Why you would not have a direct link between your product and the support page for your product, beyond me, but so the Medium links were to the AI page that isn't hosted because it's dead. That might explain the price. How old are these things? It seems relatively new to me, but that's just me. This thing doesn't really need to be in packaging. I can take this out. But yeah, apparently all the stuff about it. Wow, that's a very light circuit board. Very nice looking one, too. But this thing was made a million years ago, it seems. And all the support for it, it's gone. It's just gone. It's just gone. And it's not that we can't get into all the data stuff, but yeah, it doesn't like us. What's fun is these different structures have different purposes in RF, like resistors and capacitors and things like that. They're pretty new. Well, it sure as hell would be nice to if they had data hosted on their website. Maybe they're just having problems right now. Because yeah, this millimeter wave tracking stuff is moderately new and hot and interesting. Human detection. Does Wayback work for this? Time for notes on paper. Okay. The AI Thinker doc. Let's go back to the Medium page. The Medium page. The Medium. Oh, there it was. Wait. This is actually very much. Yeah. .rar. There we go. And go to Wayback. I don't know if that'll work. Not archived. Maybe the Medium page? That had the direct links, so. Dope. Maybe one of the larger brands will have something, or if I can look up RD3E software. Arduino software to interface. So this would be the radar module. Problem interfacing Zhao with RDO3. 32C6 board, huh? That was the board we're going to use. Google has its own archive. That's all right. Yeah, I was going to try to look for PC software, but I don't think anybody's hosting the PC software. Yeah, here's the software. Oh, nope, that's not going to work. Try to Wayback that. What'd you find? Docs. RDO3 V2. Oh, so maybe it's for the V2s. They made a new version, and so it's unhosted their original. Hold on. I gotta. It's real clunky with Social Stream Ninja. I can't just like click on a link. to see what it is. Trying to show you guys how annoying this is. So, because I've got the social stream blade that I'm reading along to like make sure that I've got everything. I can't just like click on this. It doesn't work. So I need to like highlight it, hit copy, and then bring it over here, and hopefully it didn't copy the entire message. It did not. Yeah, I don't think it likes me. Try the index one that Big Gizmo did. We know what it should look like. Just the Raspberry Pi that's hosting the website has burst into flames. It loads for you? Why would it not be loading for me then? Oh, just probably a bad, well, coming in here from America, maybe they just don't like us. Yeah, it works in EU. It doesn't want to go on one of those undersea cables to get over to here. Duh, loads for short lurker. Then what? Why am I special? Why am I special? Why are none of these freaking sites loading for me? I shouldn't be special. I'm not behind a VPN. A VPN. Why do you hate me? I turned it off. It's off. For one of them, I have index at the end, yeah. Why am I special? The entirety of my chat is already on this website. It's just me. Yeah, maybe they saw that oh bother guy doing stuff and they said, let's shadow ban that IP. Make sure they never get in. I want them out of my site. Not even once on my website. It's not exactly the same, no. I was hoping that similar, you know, the items being similar to one another would at least give us something. And so I'm looking through this little Hackster.io write-up that they've done. Brilliant little write-up from who? From whatever user this is. I can't see. I don't know, man. But yeah, scrolling through just to see what they've done, whether or not I don't know, you can see anything. So, see, look, the software can do quite a bit of stuff, get quite a bit of data out of this thing. But AI Thinker Serial Debug Assistant seems like a generic piece of software. So if we can find a way, a link to it from somewhere else, maybe it would work. But it seems the entirety of my chat can already get onto these websites without trouble. I'm just, for some reason, I'm super special. There's an Arduino library if we want to author our own. I don't want to. So, okay. This first blush with gesture and millimeter wave stuff, because we're having a miscellaneous day, I'm not getting into programming something in an Arduino with a library. That's not what I'm going to do at all. I would like to just barely even do any work and be able to test these things and go, ooh, ah, look, it does stuff. So that's what we've been sort of working towards here. With the one that we just tested, it was configured from the factory to be way too sensitive. That would be this little sliver of a detector here, way too sensitive from the factory, so we couldn't get like a desktop test immediately, first blush, no extra stuff. There might be factory software that we could install for this, so I've decided with the next one, the one that looks really high-tech and cool, that we would just, let's just see if we can actually try installing the factory software and seeing if that would work. I don't like the prospect of a random piece of software showing me all of this data on my computer by means of security, but I think it might be okay because it's kind of a bare bones way to communicate to this thing via UART and get sort of the wealth of data that this thing is capable of producing. So first blush is that. Second blush is maybe we throw code onto an Arduino. Now the site should have all the code on it, but just like the code, just like the software, for some reason I've been personally selected to not be able to load this web page. I don't know why. Everything might snap into place suddenly, but who knows? But I have my chat. You can try with a direct link to the file. All right, let's try that. I have my chat egging me on in this case. That did download, so maybe that'll allow us to run the software. Why were these being like this? Waiting for docs.ai.thinker.com. So it's on their end, so maybe they flagged me after looking at too many data sheets. Secure connection failed. Oh, maybe I need to unsecure my connection, which I don't really like the prospect of doing when downloading EXEs from random links on the internet. .part. Oh, wow. We're still downloading. All right, let's see what we got. Is a DOS window going to flash up in front of me for like a split second and then nothing? So if we're hooking up to this thing, we can use the UART that I got sitting right here. The available voltages that we have. What are our voltage? What is my motivation here? Five volt. Okay, so we can do 5 volt. They saw me coming, yeah. The IP is from Alibaba Cloud Computing. Oh, okay. Well, so, yeah, let's just hook up to this thing. So we got our stuff going there. We'll just go to the edge of this because then we can clamp into stuff as needed. I don't need power and ground coming from the power supply because we are going to be powering this off of the computer. So we've got our UART pins over here. Ground is that pin. Let's not give that a yellow wire. So ground over yonder. It's ground over hinder. And then we've got DTF. We don't need. This is 3v3. This is the 3v3 one. Let me get the 5 volt one. I've got 2 of these. I keep 2 of these because it used to be that we would be jumping around with Pro Minis. Pro Minis used to power almost all of my projects. I don't know where the other one is. Where did it go? Okay, that one should be right over here. My 5 volt, there it is. Okay. All right, this is the 5 volt one. I didn't put a label on it. 5 volt has a little loop. Plug my thing into the plug my thing. That thing's all ready to go. Actually, I probably shouldn't connect it live. I don't think that's good for it. Okay, so ground into ground. 5 volts. I'll make that the yellow wire. CTS we're not worrying about. I don't think I need to worry about flow control on this. So now RX, OT1, and OT2. Does it tell me anything about how I should be hooking this thing up? Because I think there was information here. Okay, OT1 and RX. So UART TX goes to OT1. TX. And SparkFun tried to clarify by making TX out and RX in. All it does is just confuse you more. And then RX in. Oh, wait, RX in goes to RX. Wait a minute. OT1 goes to the UART TX. RX goes to UART RX. TXO goes to UART. Wait a minute. OT1, the UART's TX pin, and the UART's RX pin connects to RX. You're not supposed to connect RX to RX. It's supposed to TX to RX. All right, whatever. I'm just going to follow the instructions. Just going to follow the instructions. And connect RX to RX like some kind of an idiot. And then OT2 is just for whatever later programming. Okay, so now if I connect this to the UART, this thing's all powered up. We wouldn't really be able to tell. There's really no indicator, except maybe that it'll heat up a little bit. But we should have a virtual COM port on the computer that can access this thing, which means I can now dive into the EXE and run just random crap from the internet. On the quick start guide, let's just see. Oh my God. I guess accept. Detect device. All right, so first problem, no device detected. So that means we got to flip the TX and RX. This is standard stuff. I did not need my chat to weigh in on it because that stuff will be wrong, and that's fine. That's part of the process. We show the process here. All right, so now we got that. These are blinking away. Looks like they did something intelligent there. Let's hit detect device. No device. Son of a whore. Yeah, area monitoring and no device detected. All right, I'm gonna unplug and plug it back in. See if there's COM device detected. There we go. Store. Hey man, do you detect anything? Okay. Area monitoring. 0 to 26. Okay. Oh, what's going on here? It's not, wait a minute, area mon, wait a minute. Are we running into like graphics drivers? There we go, okay. Weird order of operations stuff. I can't resize this window. It is chosen a size that is my entire screen, so. And supposedly it is monitoring, but I'm not seeing any data coming across this thing. And it might be like a draw function issue. But there appears to be no data on any of the spread here. Okay. I think we've got like a program issue. No device detected. Yeah, we'll try again. I mean, this kind of software is very rudimentary. It's basically just for your own like testing purposes. It's supposed to show off the product a little bit, and you get into it further later. Let's see. I don't have the power supply to tell me whether or not things are hardware connected properly. Seems like they are. It's just this thing is getting a little moody with it. Let's. I wonder, does Arduino, can that see anything? Because if we're having like a COM port issue, the distance is also pretty high on this. Yeah, we're on 5 volts. I made sure of that. I've got cloudy brain today. I don't know why. No, I do not want a new version of Arduino. Thank you very much. Port. COM8. Teensy monitor closed. What? Yeah, our COM port's in and out. What's that about? I think it's distance. Hold on, let me plug it in closer. I have, so from the old Steam controller, which by the way, there's a new Steam controller. You guys see all that hardware? Looked pretty neat. I would love to get 2 of those Steam boxes and have that be my streaming setup, because then I can have one box specifically for working on stuff, and then the other one can be entirely dedicated to OBS and streaming. So I'd still be able to have all my buttons and stuff over here. I would just have one box for streaming and one box would be the computer. That way, if anything happens on the computer, I can, you know, hit restart and stuff like that. And maybe even put like a Windows section in the one computer so that if I need to run things like Fusion 360, I could run it off of that. Although we don't, you know, people need to have the hardware for a little while first. Otherwise it might not be all that stable. I just have no ports now? What's going on? COM4, it's not recognizing my COM port. Why is this computer, it's this computer though. It's probably having to do with how far away it is on the USB stuff, which is very annoying. Basically, we're just using Arduino to look at the COM ports and see if there's one connected. Why would it be so flaky then? Without moving. There's COM8. There's some data. Hold on, gotta get over to this. It may have already stopped. Wait a minute. No, it still recognizes COM8. Okay, so let's try this then. Nothing. Show me stuff. Oh, come on. Do I need to enable, like, do I need to touch any of this stuff? What did that just do? Object 1, 2, and 3. I don't even, nothing is being displayed properly. I think something is still not functioning. What are we monitoring? How come? I don't think anything's happening here. It is streaming data, though. I do see data moving around. Okay, it sees an object, but it's not giving me a distance. My hand would be the object. It might be their software. You can see up in the top there, it does see something. I am definitely seeing data coming out of this thing. It's just... Go further up. Yeah, I don't know, man. I don't know about this device. Well, it's the software, really. So I'd probably have to get more involved if we were to get this stuff, like, fully running on the Arduino. I guess I could take it step by step, though. we could take in little bits of the software and run it, but okay, well that doesn't work. I think it's the program. We can try opening this again. So it does detect it both times, and if I hit start, data is definitely getting sent. I see the RX light lighting up on this thing. It is sending stuff. Showing under the OBS overlay? No, there's nothing. You guys are not missing out. You just have this corner right here. See, that gets it to jog into something else, and then I get 3 object information, but it's not... maybe it's just because I have stuff around it. Maybe it's detecting that stuff. Let's move it away from everybody. It's got a nice little area here. And it's not, none of the distances are showing, so I think it's a draw issue with the program not being compatible with, I don't know, Windows 10. I think that's what's going on. Ah, my idea light. Maybe the firmware needs to be updated. I have no idea. Yeah, I don't either. Maybe it's because one's V2, the other's V3, but this is just anything. I don't think this is specific. Maybe, I don't think it's that specific to the hardware. They all have the same, like, UART stuff. So we need to find, like, a different piece of software, or maybe the Arduino program or something. Or look at the library on Arduino, or on, you know, whatever the library is, to see if we can get one of these things running, because currently we do see data coming from it. I wonder what the baud is. Yeah, it's we don't know what it is. Definitely not 2400. Last question. 96. 19. I remember getting that speed of modem. The 56K modems were the shit, though. Huh? Interrobang. What? Ah. 256. $256K. It's funny, that's not an option on here. Why wouldn't that? That's a standard option. I don't think I can put custom into this. This isn't putty. This isn't putty. This is much less featureful. Huh, weird. Okay, well, anyway, it's probably just junk data. I don't know if that serial data is exactly what we're looking for. I mean, it definitely shows us that something's happening there. But without their specific softwares, we can't do a quick demo of the stuff that's going on. We would have to do a little bit more involved of a demo. USB to UART, USB 2X. Huh. Edit with Notepad. So, language, English, data path, blah, object type, etc. ppconfig, monitor point. Any of these settings can help me get it to draw properly. Draw locus. I don't know. Top view mode. Whatever engine they're using, these are the configurations, huh? Algorithm R enable. Nope, I don't know. I don't see anything in here that I know how to mess with. And if I run it, we get the same, like, comm device detected. Area monitoring. I don't want that. If we go to multi-target mode, it pops up with 3 targets that you could potentially track. But again, I think there's something wrong with the drawing stuff. Go to single target. The device is supposedly streaming data. I see the RX light flashing, but we get no display on the application. I think the application's just not working. I think that's the application. Just realized that the dock site is the RDO3 stuff. The tools are totally different. RDO3E. Oh, do you think it just doesn't? It sees a device, but all the data is different. It's just unable to communicate. It's a totally different thing. Yeah. Okay. Okay. So we're trying to communicate with the wrong device. Although their tools are all based on the same stuff, so it was able to connect, and then it just wasn't speaking the right stuff. Of course, this page doesn't load for me. I don't know why. Unsecure my connection. There should have been a cool demo of neat technology that allows you to track things in a unique way, but instead it's instead I guess Verizon is I don't know why. I hate being special, but because I'm special, I don't get to load these web pages. What a fate. What a cruel fate. All right, fuck these things. They suck. We'll go back to them at some point where I'll have to either download or create from the ground up. This stuff just doesn't work. Jeff Bezos just got off the phone with whoever's at the company hosting the website, and they decided to put me on the list. All right. One day I'll be able to test those with the proper software, because it should be like shocking and cool and this wonderful, interesting piece of local tracking technology that allows you to get all of this data from just simply things existing in the environment. But because I'm special, I don't get to have functioning things. So whatever. Let me put this stuff away real quick. Oh, how aggravating was that? Meanwhile, my entire chat is able to just go to the site and just play around. They're like, yeah, that site, it has like a ball pit, and like they were handing out taquitos to everybody. Like, it was awesome. There was live music playing and everything. It was what a fun time. And I go there and it's just an empty lot. Nothing. All right. Millimeter wave stuff is a big old goose egg question mark. We don't know what the hell's going on with those, and we'll come back to that at some point. I like my sensors. I like having weird sensors and things to do with weird sensors. One thing that I just wanted to test here before moving on is, well, you know, I can keep going for a little while longer, and we'll try out a couple little techniques here, because what I did is on the repair of Julian's. Actually, no, before we look at that, let's look at this. I just got some random crap. You know, the rest of the stuff, there was a bunch of those millimeter wave things that I guess they're trying to offload. But then the other stuff that I saw on Haul was all this cool stuff. Yeah, the house is giving away full-size candy, and they ran out right when O'Bother got there. Or rather, the design of their fence keeps O'Bother from crossing it in his weird outfit. All right, so I was browsing around at all of the Haul stuff, and there was all kinds of weird things there. But one of the things that kind of stood out to me, first of all, more jumpers, but second of all, one of those breadboarding power supplies. I wanted to take a look at it. The other stuff that I got from the haul was like, you know, Bluetooth modem, possibly for working with the scale that I have. I don't really want to dive into a scale redo project, but I really would like to actually have logging of my weight and possibly also blood pressure, but I don't really know what system I want to enable on that. My scale, this company went out of business. When they went out of business, they took their server and they clicked it off. And so I no longer have tracking of my weight. It was very useful, the old system that I had, because I would randomly weigh myself. You know what, I'm feeling good today. I'm gonna try see what weight I'm at. And then I could see that chart and how it would move, and I could interpolate what's going on with my body. I would like to get back to having that ability. The problem is my current frame of reference is that scale, and that scale might not be super accurate. It doesn't need to be, as long as my frame of reference is the same. That way I know I am losing weight, I am gaining weight, etc., etc. So this thing, found this thing on the Amazon thing. Pretty much all I want is this board. This board just makes it easier to power up an entire breadboard with 5 volts. I hope it scales well. You guys really need to workshop some of these before you put them into my chat. I don't really have this kind of, I don't have USB A to A, you know? Who has A to A? That's so weird. It would have been nice if there were pads for like a B or C. I can put a breakout USB-C connector on this. That may be the direction that I go with it. Because this is just a convenience. It's like, it's super, super, super cheap way to just plug in and have power on your breadboard. I kind of would really like to replace that with a USB-C. Let's see if I have anything. Let's see if I have anything that I can use. Where would those be? They would be, okay, I think I know where. I think I might have exactly what I need to do this. The another thing that I did get was actually USB-C power supplies, so maybe I can lock in one of these guys. These have a totally different pinout though. And I don't know what the output voltage is. These are like literally things that were just listed there, and I just clicked on a bunch of them, so. 4056, LED 1, LED 2. Not sure what it's doing there. These have data on them too. I don't know what the voltage output is though. So that may, well, if I use the VHV tape and just throw that right there, 3 volt, 5 volt and off. There's some stuff that it does get in the way of though. It's a little bit big. So maybe just a breakout board with only 5 volts on it. USB, of course, can negotiate for 15 volts, which is good if you're doing like synthesizer stuff, because then you can run that 15 volts into a plus regulator and a minus regulator. And you can get the full plus minus 12 volt spread, which is cool and fun. It's cool and fun. You guys aren't allowed to argue with me on that. It's cool and it's fun. And I won't be hearing a single word of dissent on that subject. Like way down here, I think I have, yeah, USB-C breakouts. There they are. Yeah. 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 Get them. I also have USB-C connectors all the way down there, but these are all the professional parts. All my little parts. Decently well organized. Need to go on a labeling spree. All right, let's see here. So, V bus, ground, D plus and D minus, they're in different spots. I don't think this is doing anything with the data though. Little power board is nice to have. I got an older one that has a USB mini connector. Yeah, this is my play space right here. So I think what I can do is drill holes in this, because it looks like they're not using any of the PCB over here. And I can drill holes to mount this here, maybe use flat screws on it. Now the problem is that I'd have to move it behind the holes a little bit, because then I'd have to have jumper wires that go out to the things. Yeah, they were probably clearancing this because it's not USB-C. It's more convenient if these are USB-C, because then I can use the lab power hookups that I've got. I got a USB-C hub at actually kind of a great expense. It's really expensive. USB-C hub, and then I also have a USB-C 250 watt power, power generic USB-C power supply that I plug into the back of the scope, and then I can plug it into this stuff, and I can plug it into the synthesizer tester. So I would like to have USB-C on something that can clip onto a breadboard for the next time I noodle around with this kind of stuff. Of course, that would only mostly be for 5-volt stuff, huh? Yeah, the USB-C hubs are weirdly expensive, but I wanted to get like a really high-speed hub that was, grounded and stuff all the way out to this like remote area, because I've got multiple cameras that go into this. Actually, I think only one goes into that. But yeah, I've got all these cameras all over the place, and microphones and faster electronics plugged into stuff all the way out here. So that makes it so that the higher speed, cleaner stuff gets all the way out to here, and then I can put my other hubs on that. Okay, so project for another day. I'm just going to keep these two pieces together and clip it into the board that it came with. This stuff is all so cheap. So cheap. But that'll be kind of convenient. Not incredibly, but kind of. Although it would be better to have something that sits all the way on the end of the board like this and have a UART in it with like a reset switch like it has. Do you have some kind of component database, or just holding parts in one place? What? One place? Man, I got parts here, some parts here, some parts over there. There's some parts there. We got some parts right there. There's a couple parts, and then there's some parts back there too. We've got this is the synthesizer parts, and then there's some parts that are hanging out. There's a motor part. There's some DRO parts, and then there's some parts down here. That's my friend's car charger parts, and then I've got a frequency generator part there, and there's some lab parts there. Over there's project parts in the bins. These bins are project parts for different projects. And then over here, these are some storage of like automation parts, DIN rail stuff, and some stuff there. And then I've got my old insulin pumps are there. This is my gaming computer. And then I've got all the bother remote parts. Those are there. There's subwoofer. There's Willow's bed. And then that's part of my keyboard because I spilled on it recently. And there's parts there. And then the ammo can's full of battery parts. And then RC car, some RC stuff is in here with like some old drone parts and stuff. And I got some breadboarding parts here. And the physical parts, these parts are just these are for like screws and like physical screws and springs and stuff, because you need those. And then these are the panhead screws, those parts there that I need. This is old pieces of electronics, like the old router and stuff like that. I keep the electronics because those have parts on them that you might want to use. And over there's ferrules for wires. And then we go over to here where I keep like tape and stuff. And then I've got some parts. These are miscellaneous stuff. There's old RC setup, and then I've got parts in folders here that are surface mount parts. But those aren't these surface mount parts. These are my particular surface mount parts that are in storage bins with little sprung storage tops on them. Uses synthesizer parts, all kinds of stuff in here. I've got also the variety, the variety pack parts, and behind this tile that fell off the ceiling, there's big bins of parts down there, and then up here I've got sewing kit bins that have parts in it, but I've also got Husky bins for through-hole parts and synthesizer parts, and there's RF connectors in that one. And then I've got a sewing kit, and then I've got my old Soviet screens and stuff, and then I've got my synthesizer power bins, and then I've got joystick stuff, Model M, Thrustmaster T5 billion, and then behind the light, there's a bunch of keyboards and stuff. What do you mean you have one place where you put parts? What the hell kind of a question is that? I am literally surrounded. I live in a garbage heap. What do you think? This must be an Amazon warehouse, garbage everywhere. You let me call myself garbage. Maybe one day I can actually make like a shop studio, and the storage oh yeah, and tools in the corner, and tools in the drawer. What do you mean, do I have one place where I put my parts? I have 7,000 places where I put my parts, and if my parts aren't in the right place, I cry. That's how this works. I know a lot of people, it's a genuine question. People don't actually know, but like, yeah, it's scatterbrained at best. Mostly the stuff within like arm's reach of me is like for jokes. Like I have an actual like BMW turn signal, and it's got the BMW logo on it and everything. It's BMW. What the fuck is that? I swear it's got a logo on it, but you know, it's just for a bit. I keep that nearby. Here's a project that we never did, and now that the personal thermal imagers are below $200, I don't know if I'm going to be able to do this project, but this is something that my brother gave me. It's one of those old school thermal sensors that has a couple pixels. It's like, what is it, 6x8 or something like that? And so if you view with this thing, you can get a general impression if there's sort of a source of a great thermal mismatch in the field of view of this thing. So what I was going to do is get laser line modules, maybe use 4, maybe just 2. I want it to have a field of vision that it shows you. So it'll show you a field of vision and heat. What that's good for is to find dog poop, because tis the season of the hidden dog poop. You're sitting there with your dog, you know, having just done the deed, doing the leg twitchy thing where they sort of flick their paws on the grass, and you're like, stop that, you're damaging the grass. And you look away for 1 second and the dog poop is gone. And it could be anywhere. It could be anyone. It could be anything. It is covered by a leaf and you don't know which one that leaf is. Enter the thermal imager. I may just bite the bullet and spend $250 on the Lepton clip-on thermal imager. There are some good ones out there though that I kind of want to take a look at. Our Lepton is pretty old. This is back in the ITAR days before China figured out how to also build high-grade thermal imagers that can clip onto your phone. I would like to get one just personally because I wanted that to be in my tool repertoire. I could almost see myself carrying that around with me just in my pocket, just because. Probably like print a case for it or something like that so that it stays clean. Because you find yourself out in the field going, man, if I could see the thermals on this, I would be likened unto a god of repair and other stuff. You can say, oh, this is air getting in under that door. Cool stuff. For a little while on one of my old jobs, I had access to this like $20,000 at the time thermal imagers, one of these goggle modules, which was a little disorienting because you've got this goggle like this that you're viewing through, so you don't really feel in the scene. And you could do stuff like that with it, but man, $20,000, no thanks. Nowadays, you spend a couple $100, you can clip it to the bottom of your phone, and your phone is just this window into this whole world of thermals. It's something I think everybody should have in their tool bin. It's expensive, but the price is going down. And so I want to see if there's either a good one of the China modules or if the Lepton one is any good, and maybe think about purchasing it. But this would have been useful before spending all that money. I don't know how much this cost. It was a freebie from my brother. He said, here, have this thing. And we got it working. We can plug this into USB and get it working. We'd have to outfit it with a battery, and the lasers are totally necessary because there's not enough pixels to see what you're seeing. Modern thermal imager clips onto your phone. You can just look through the thermal imager. You don't even need it to co-witness on top of real stuff. You get enough of an impression of what you're looking at. I mean, even with the limited pixels of this one, you would be able to find a dog poop that way. I don't think you would need to have a laser tell you where the dog poop is, but this would have been the Poop Finder 5000. I don't know if that project is going to really get any legs. All right, so that's USB there. What else do I have to look at? I mean, not much. I was going to play around with this today, but I don't know if we've got the time. I guess we can try to repair a hole in a circuit board using a rivet. So I bought these little brass zinc-plated copper rivets. When you're DIYing PCBs, this is one of the methods in order to have vias be functional. I mean, electroplating is possibly the best way to do it. Leaving it up to somebody else is the even better way to do it. Using different types of rings, you could make them flatter. I need something that's cheap and basic so that I can just simply repair a really messed up trace, a really knackered trace on synthesizers. I mean, that's exactly the problem that we ran into with Julian the other week, or actually Saturday, was that he had reworked a part, and then I reworked that part. Reworked meaning go over the solder and either remove or change some nature of how the part is in there. I removed the jack that was in there, and I think in doing so, what little was left of the plated via also left the building. So everything went away, and we had the problem where the jack was mechanical. It was an electromechanical part that has to withstand somebody plugging in a barrel jack. And I'm not totally confident in what I had done in order to fix it. I think it'll work for a good amount of time. There's possibility that it works itself loose again because there was just no via to hold that thing. And a via in regular circuit boards, you have a plate on top, a plate on bottom for the plated copper, and then some kind of a connector that's either electrically deposited or it's put in there as a rivet. And when you get solder in that, it will spread to the whole thing, and it will create a rivet of solder on the top and the bottom and through. And so if you've got a pin going through there and you've got the top and the bottom soldered, then those two plates of solder, although solder is not, solder is a little bit soft, it's still a huge amount of mechanical force would be needed in order to perturb that, right? It works as like a really strong rivet with a piece of rebar going through. So that is sort of how a via functions. So if the via is gone, I could use a not incredibly advanced, just sort of like a basic way to re-put a rivet or re-put a via on that pad so that it can still function properly. And so the way that I would do it in Julian Synthesizer is I would use one of these things. I would scrape away the solder mask on some of the traces, insert one of these, mushroom out the other end, maybe, and then it would be able to solder back in place. Or if I could somehow very carefully cut this to the right height, then maybe that could just serve as some kind of a rivet. The problem I'm going to have, and what we've seen online, we looked it up, we saw online that people were using the, the spring center punch, what's called an automatic punch. Let me get mine. I think I've got the rusty POS center punch sitting, I think, over here. I think you are in the bin, right? Where have you gone, center punch? You're always in the way, except for when I actually need to find you. No, that's not it. Center punch. Somewhere over here. Here. Yes, look where I'm looking. We're somewhere in this vicinity is the center punch. Automatic, just for my people. Automatic, just for my crew. Oh yeah, it's up here. It's up here. And it is, whoa, it's looking kind of rough these days because it was always a very cheap one. These are always a little bit hinky. They never quite work right, you know? And then what happens with me more often than not, what'll happen, let me get a scrap piece of metal here. There's a piece of metal. I don't want to put dots all over that one. Hold on a sec. There's got to be something that I can just... Oh yeah, that's definitely scrap aluminum. Automatic center punch. I always spend a whole bunch of time very carefully marking out exactly where I want the hole to be. It turns out that if you scratch an X, you can follow along the scratch, and where it hits the other scratch, you'll feel it, right? So if I had two scratches, I could scratch along one, and then, oop, you could feel that other scratch, and that's when you tilt in on this thing, press down on it, and then it'll snap really loudly, because what's happening is a big weight is being forced onto a spring, and then a little metal bar will come in alignment and suddenly allow the weight to go bap. The problem is it has to, there it goes, that actually worked. It has to hang on the edge of a little like convex piece with a hole in it so that it can push it up, and then it needs to find the center when it gets over to a certain distance. That one worked well, and it left me with just a little bumpus that I could find with the drill bit, and then the drill bit inevitably walks 2 or 3 millimeters in either direction and doesn't give you a hole in the right location, and then you have to get your microfiles and file the hole to be some kind of a terrible looking oval mess. Another use for the center punch is to mushroom out these little rivets. And so I wanted to actually try that. I've got 2 sizes in the kit. This one gets to the truly tiny rivets that we might be able to test with just a regular piece of circuit board. Let's see, if I'm lucky, which I'm not, I should be able to find something that already has like a hole in it that we can test. That or we break out the drill bits just for a quick little test here. Something I've already drilled into terribly. I mean, I guess this one does have stuff on the edges. This is like a Raspberry Pi test board. Is that Raspberry Pi? Yeah, it is. I don't really use those. Physical computing with a Raspberry Pi. What is this, 2013? Let's say I just want to add like a rivet to this thing here. Oh, that is the right size. Wow. I randomly guessed at that, and it happened to be the right size. So we have a backdrop here that's solid, and then we have a rivet sticking through the front. This might be too big for the center punch, though. I wanted to try this out, because that'll probably start it mushrooming. Oh, and then, yeah, see, it doesn't... There it goes. Well, I got it to snap, and it looks like it expanded a little bit, but I don't think it's going to mushroom. I don't think this is going to flatten out at the top. So the other potential technique is to use some of my punches here. And I've got these punches that have a little nobule at the front, and I wonder if that will get it to start mushrooming. I bought these punches. They're for 2 different things. This is for like... those little like clip style ones, and then these are for like flat pins. These are the nicer ones, the flat pin ones. Look at all that handle. This is like a beautiful thing. I love this. I think they're Starrett, so they're really high quality. Well, yeah, that and a hammer. I mean, I've got a miniature hammer sitting over here. Oh my god, I'm getting... all the boxes are falling on me right now. One sec. Gotta organize. Always gotta organize. Okay, let's see here. So if I go with the one with the little nub in the center, because what I'm hoping is the little nub in the center is going to encourage this to sort of mushroom outwards, and we'll get something resembling a via here. But who knows what'll happen. What up, modular expert? We'll get back to modular stuff soon enough. This is the way that I should have had this capability when Julian was here over the weekend, but I didn't. So we're testing stuff out. This is where the dog would start barking. Oh, Bother is impressed. That worked perfectly. We mushroomed it out just a little bit on the top there. I don't think it's going to get better than this, although I could keep hammering it. Oh yeah, because I think it might be a little loose down here. No, it isn't. Look at that. That actually, yeah, because that is now a functionally solderable via. And you're saying, Bother, this is way too big for a via. You would not be able to solder that. Well, it's like a barrel jack. This would be repairing something like a power input to a circuit board. And so if you have the barrel jack going in on the top of this thing, you've got this big old mushroom down here. Everybody, look at my mushroom. You have the big old mushroom at the bottom, and that would help you, you know, that would grip the circuit board and provide you with a nice mechanical connection. Yeah, okay, I'm sold. That could not have gone, but look at that, perfect. That is exactly what I'd want out of this. Any further crushing I could maybe do with the vise so that I'm not making a bunch of noise. So don't annoy everybody with the loud slapping of my mushroom. Oh, that's awesome. Okay, well, that is going to be the technique then for larger traces that fall out of circuit boards during rework. I've got to be careful about the size too, because it needs to be pretty well calibrated so that it properly turns at that angle, that interface, that change between, yeah. Cool, all right, well that worked. I didn't expect that. Because what are the other, I mean, smaller than this, I don't know if I'd be able to wrangle properly. This one bent because of misuse. This, I believe, is the smallest size that I have. It's like a couple millimeter, and it's by and large not even close to the smallest size I have in the rivets themselves. Don't think I'd be able to operate with these. Yeah, it's a little Raspberry Pi hat PCB. I've never had any use for it though. Never really had any use. I just have it in my repertoire. I'm using it because it's got no vias on the corner holes here, and that was a decent size for me to do kind of an initial test to see whether or not these via rivets were any good to use. It's about the size of Julian's Broken Hole. That should be the name of his next album. Julian's Broken Hole. Do I want to test it on like another one? I don't really have any other like solder-less holes of my making. I could take a drill bit and damage one and we could just see what it looks like. Unless there's a piece of scrap at the bottom of this that might have some stuff. This bin is hard to put back together because I need the boards to be like packed properly. Otherwise it's too tall and it doesn't close. I have never had I thought this was the best idea ever. This is just a little solder bridge where you can have horizontal and vertical tracks. And by solder bridging to stuff, you can actually close the tracks. You can do it with surface mount and through hole stuff. I thought it was, wow, this is such a cool idea. This would be awesome for me to use to, nope, never used it. Never used it for anything. I never use it for anything. I just don't use it. I just don't use it. I thought it was the coolest thing. Nope. Too much exposed stuff to deal with. So if you're soldering to it, you can like accidentally bridge things really easily. Never worked out. The best prototyping stuff is this. It is square pads on one side only. it looks cool, and maybe you could make some really cool designs with it, but it kind of broke my brain trying to come up with how to design for that board. There were too many opportunities for things to like short out. All right, well, we didn't get through the whole thing. I mean, some of the other stuff that I have are just like Bluetooth modems and weird stuff that I just randomly ordered. These motors, I have 2 packs of these motors. These motors are going to be really good for a split flap display. It was shared on the Discord a little while ago, this split flap display. I need to redesign some elements of it in order to make it work for the way I print things and the material that I print, because I would like to make a huge split flap that goes on the wall, and then maybe I can charge you guys some channel points in order to post messages on it, because I think that would be a lot of fun, is if somebody posts a message and then it goes foo, 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 of the display, and then something stupid is on the wall. I think that would be really cool. So the ruminations of that project, when I was looking at the Amazon hauls, I was like, well, 2 packs of 3 of these motors is cheap, so I'm just going to buy them, and that could potentially power 6 digits of that split flap. And I've got more of those motors like crammed into all the nooks and crannies of the shop, but I don't know when I'm going to be able to realize that project. Hi, I've run out of stuff to do, which is typical of this stream. That riveting thing went way too easily. It turns out I do have the right tools in order to make proper rivet repairs on things like power supply input pins. So that's something to look forward to, maybe. It depends on how destructive Julian is, and maybe I'll have him come back with that hardware and we can fix it up better. We can actually make it like, I mean, for him, by his perception, nothing is ever wrong with it, and it'll now work in perpetuity. For me, I've realized how sort of shoestringy that repair was, and I don't really like it. So the rivets will make it professional, potentially. So I don't know if I want to ask him to bring it back in so that I can do a proper repair so that it lasts in perpetuity. Maybe so. I didn't set up the admin command for the next stream. The next stream is going to be tomorrow. I'll be on tomorrow, and we'll find an actual project to work on instead of flailing about. We were flailing around with software today because for some reason, my specific node of the internet, it has been decided that those websites would not work, and so I wasn't able to download software that would allow me to properly utilize some of these millimeter wave things. Flailing is fun. I hope you guys had fun. It's a little frustrating for me, though, because by all means, I should have been able to get on those websites and actually, you know, get that software. I'm not running any sort of special crazy security. I run actually very little security for somebody who streams. Very little, like shockingly little security. I've turned a lot of things off. And yet you guys were able to go to the shady websites and I wasn't. I don't understand that. Maybe at some point in the middle of the night, they'll work again. I'm not sure though. I got one of those with custom firmware. I tried Tasmota on it, but never got far. This is like, these millimeter wave things are like, they should be able to go pretty far. It would be nice if I could get something that would enable it in Node-RED, because then I could get all that data out of it. It looks like there's like a lot of data, like just gestures and distances and stuff like that. I think I had the Zigbee and I was trying to get that working. Yeah, apparently these use ESP Home, or if I can dig a cell phone out of the wall here, maybe I can get one of those cell phones to connect to it via Bluetooth or something. I don't know. I've got a lot of decisions to make. Hey, I'm going to go touch grass while the touching is good, because it's actually getting kind of dark out pretty early around here. So I'm going to go walk my puppy. Tomorrow, we're going to work on the dog collar. That's going to be programming, and maybe we'll take it in baby steps so that we can do a lot of uploading to the microcontroller, and we can see features going into the microcontroller. We can make it lower power. That's the goal. I need this to be lower power so that the dog has more time on this thing and I'm not always charging it. So that's the goal. That's why the dog collar project hasn't moved forward. It would be moving into the final stages of me packing everything up if we had gotten the features that we wanted. The feature creep is that it's using a lot of power and I would like to lower the power. Maybe if I can get a bigger battery to fit in there too, we can increase the runtime and make it a little bit less of an involved recharge. Man, the WLED, if that existed when I was doing like festival stuff, I could cover myself head to toe in LEDs and just make brilliant looking patterns out of all of it. It's really cool. We do have some of the LED ropes. We might be able to actually put some stuff up and out and make it look cool. Ludricio, You come in here right when I'm ending stream. By God, I hope things have been well. I keep hearing that they are for you. Long time no see. This is like right when I'm wrapping up, man. Are you coming over here? No, Robert's still going strong. Okay. Next Halloween, dress up like the Vegas sphere. I could easily do that. I have a spherical piece of headgear that is covered in LEDs. I could cover it in more LEDs nowadays, though. This stuff has come a long way, and I haven't kept up. I caught you in time to say, hey, at least, yeah, the time changes make it so that sometimes it's a little bit more convenient to catch me. Okay, I gotta run. I gotta go walk a corgi. So I'm gonna go do that, and I would suggest you guys figure out some kind of an excuse to go touch grass. I'll catch everybody later. I'll see you tomorrow.